to the name Redacted Podcast, America's most beloved podcast, the most downloaded Red Sox podcast in the world. And you know what? We do have a guest today. We do have Jahmai Webster on the podcast today. And listen, I want to get into it with Jahmai. I want to continue our series of Clark's Catch-Up Series MVP voter interviews. And that is going to continue today with Jahmai Webster of Nesson. But Tyler, Jake as well. Before we get to Jahmai, which at this point we have not recorded. We have not had Jahmai yet. Like, we're not jumping back to the future. Red Sox fans right now are very upset. Red Sox fans are having a bad time. And I saw our guy Ed Hand tweeted out the poll, like, is this the most chaotic Red Sox Twitter? No, stop being dramatic. This is not the most chaotic Red Sox Twitter has been. I think after Mookie Betts, it was worse. After Xander, it was worse. And then, I mean, I know that you're kind of a pussy and you don't have any tattoos, Tyler.
Excuse me?
You heard what I said.
I could have a tattoo if I wanted to. It takes a man to have the strength not to get a tattoo.
Right. And then after JD went to the Dodgers, which, like, he was never coming back anyway. Like, the tattoo comparison is like when you get tattooed the first 2 hours, like, say you get tattooed in hour 3, it hurts way more than it should because it's an hour 3. Like, I think the JD thing, it hurt way more because it came after losing Xander. Like, everyone's just like, oh, we lost another one. So it was way worse, I think, last winter. We were quick to forget that because I think people fell in love with Justin Turner and the emergence of Brian Bayo and Tristan Casas. Like, there were
Yoshida and Kenley and Chris Martin in that little stretch coming in.
There were reasons to be like, all right, like, I don't really miss Xander anymore, and JD, I'm happy for him, but we have Justin Turner. Like, yeah, like, that didn't linger. But last winter, people were pissed. Are they pissed because, like, so I was one of the most vocal people. I saw people, like, not a lot. More people came at Steve because he's a fucking idiot. Like, Steve's takes are fucking awful. They're just not good. I was upset about not getting Seth Lugo only because I was open about wanting him last trade deadline. Like, it wasn't like the end of the world that the Red Sox didn't get Seth Lugo. And I didn't, where I think where fans came at Steve for his awful take was he said, like, oh, they got outbid by the Royals. Whereas I was just like, fuck, I wanted Seth Lugo. That's the difference. Because, yes, I did want Seth Lugo. Did I want to go north of $15 million for him? No. Like, eventually, like, every team should have their number. And how bad would it look if the Red Sox went to, like, fucking $20 million on 34-year-old Seth Lugo, and then they didn't sign Yamamoto or Montgomery? It's like, well, at least we got Seth Lugo. Like, I think ultimately the Red Sox had a number, and they were smart enough to walk away when it got a little bit out of their price range. And it's not that they can't afford it. It's more just we have an evaluation on the player. He's this age. He's just turned into a starter last year. Like, I get it. I wanted Seth Lugo. Did I want to go north of $15 million in a 3-year deal to get him? No, that's okay. It's more just you're frustrated that, like, he went to the Royals. It's like, fuck, man, is it really that bad over here that, you wouldn't take a little bit less? Like, I know that you probably got the job security. Like, this is the one time that he can really cash in and get the money in the years. And I'm happy for Seth Lugo. I don't know him, but I'm happy for him. Like, it's a long career to get that bag. But as a Red Sox fan, you're like, fuck, man, like, was the situation over here not sweet enough to where you could be like, all right, I'll take a little bit less. If you give me 3 years, like, I'll take a little bit less to come there, whatever. But no, he's a Royal. And that's okay. It's okay. Hey, it's okay.
You would have got both ends of it yesterday. If the Red Sox handed out, because I think MLB trade rumors, they had him at 342. It came out to 345.
Yeah,
it's all relative. If they signed Seth Lugo, you would have got a huge army of people saying, you guys signed fucking Seth Lugo when you were talking about Brian Bayo being your number 3 starter this year. That's what you call full throttle, you fucking clowns.
Yeah.
That would have been going crazy since the Red Sox were in that conversation and being connected to Lugo. But what it really comes down to, and you kind of touched on it, Jared, is the frustration building and people starting to panic. Because when you look at the Red Sox and you say, and you tweeted this out yesterday, I tweeted it out, we haven't looked at the Yamamoto sweepstakes as something that's even somewhat likely. We're hoping, we're all dying, praying. we got a slightly positive update from Lou last night, and we'll get to that. But when it feels like Yamamoto's unlikely, when it seems like the Red Sox, according to reporting, aren't interested in rentals, they're stepping away. So, we're watching Tyler Glasnow. That deal with the Dodgers is up in the air right now. The Shane Biebers, the Corbin Burns. All right, well, you're crossing some of those guys off. Okay. When you're saying, I don't really want anyone with the QO attached. Okay, well, Blake Snell, goodbye. You start to freak out a little bit. And then there comes the kind of connection to Marcelo Meyer, Roman Anthony, and Kyle Teal, which we've heard they are kind of hesitant to deal in, a major package. So you start going down the list here, and it's like, how many ways are there for the Red Sox to go full throttle, to be this World Series contender and, the whole vibe completely shift? There's not a ton. It feels more likely like, all right, is it Jordan Montgomery in another piece? All right, that's fine. But that's where the acceptance, I think, is coming from some people that, yeah, the idea that Brian Bayo was going to be your number 3 starter, it doesn't feel super likely right now.
No. Well, all right. Before we move on from Seth Lugo, this is what I tweeted yesterday. I said, well, first of all, I tweeted July 27th.
We had me and you we both liked Lugo. I remember the conversation on the podcast.
July 27th, 2023. I've talked myself into wanting the Red Sox to trade for Seth Lugo. Yesterday, if the Red Sox told us they were going full throttle this winter and all we end up with is Tyler O'Neill and Seth Lugo, I'm not sure my mental health will ever recover. But then it goes back to the point that I was trying to make here, because someone tweeted me and they were like, people are actually upset we didn't sign Seth Lugo. I'm crying with the laughing emoji. So I said, it's just time to be realistic. The odds of the Red Sox signing Yamamoto are what, 5%? And even then, the Red Sox need Yamamoto and Jordan Montgomery and that's kind of the point.
Are you talking 3 starting pitchers when you said or do you mean like, oh, they need another right-handed bat?
No. I'm saying like you need, like, if you were going to get Yamamoto, then you need a Seth Lugo. If you're going to get Jordan Montgomery, you still need a Seth Lugo type, like a Michael Wacha, whatever, like that tier of guys. So I think the order of it is what would have made fans go nuts, right? Like if the Red Sox signed Seth Lugo, then yeah, you need a guy like that for the middle of the rotation, but fans would have just freaked out and been like, oh, great, like we're out on Yamamoto now because we signed Seth Lugo. But it ideally what would have happened is you would have signed Jordan Montgomery, today, and then you sign Seth Lugo in 3 days. Like it's like, oh man, like they didn't just stop at Montgomery, because I've heard plenty of fans say, and I get it, and I'm with you. I'm with you if you feel this way. Jordan Montgomery doesn't move the needle for me. If you're a fan that is now apathetic towards this team, you can't get up for this Red Sox team. You're not excited. You're not enthused. I don't think that there's many, if any. I think you might have some fucking real issues with the wiring of your brain if you're excited for this season right now, today, December 13th, 2023. If you're amped about the 2024 Boston Red Sox, there's something like you belong in like Waco, like one of those fucking like cults where you're just the most easily brainwashed people. Those are the people that are excited about the 2024 Boston Red Sox. Everyone else, how you're feeling, frustrated, all that, 100% valid. It's all valid. Like, I'm not excited. Like, I wasn't asked to do winter weekend. If I was, I would probably say no. Like,
wow.
I don't want to go up there. Like, if they don't make a big move, they're going to get booed
last
again.
year was bad? You thought last year? Oh, God, like, you better step back.
I don't want to go up there and have people just boo the fuck out of everyone. It's awkward. It's like,
you might get killed.
I want to have fun again. And there is a very clear line between entitled, spoiled brat fan. If you're sitting there saying Yamamoto or it's a failure of an offseason, that's the spoiled, entitled fan. Like, there is a path to a good offseason. And that's kind of what I landed on yesterday. After everyone kind of calmed down a little bit about Seth Lugo going to the Royals, I said, listen, I get it. Like, I'm frustrated too. I miss seeing breaking news or something related to the Red Sox and being like, holy fuck, they did it. Like, I miss that as well. But is there a path to the Red Sox having a good offseason if Yamamoto signs with the Dodgers or the Mets or the Yankees? The answer is yes. It may not get your dick hard. Like, if it's Jordan Montgomery via free agency, They put together a trade package for a George Kirby or something like that.
Whoa, that gets my dick hard. I'm sorry. If you're trading for a George Kirby or something like that.
I don't know that gets everyone's dick hard. But that's
you would be trading major prospects. That would be a true frontline starter you're going to get.
Blockbuster deal. 100%. But I feel like Yamamoto is the buzzword. If you don't get Yamamoto, then you're unserious franchise and this and that. Like, I don't want to be around the bad vibes of that winter weekend event if they don't do anything. If it is January 20, whatever the fuck it is, 21st, 20 something, if it's around that time, I mean, that might be the first one that I just voluntarily do not go to, because I'm just going to be walking around the whole time having stop and chats with pissed off Red Sox fans that are like, what the fuck's happening? And like, you know, you don't want to talk about that because it's more than just a job to me. Like, it's more than just a job to you and Jake. We genuinely care. Like, do you think I want to answer the same question 500 times in Springfield? Why aren't the Red Sox doing anything? Like, do they even care anymore? What's going on?
Full throttle. What happened to that?
Is this Heim 2.0? What do you think about Craig Breslow? Why isn't he doing anything? You know, where's John Henry at? Why is he posting pictures in Miami when Steve Cohen's flying to Japan to meet with Yamamoto? Like, I don't want to answer those questions because none of this has to do with me. None of this has to do with anything that, like, I don't have control of the situation. I don't get the opportunity to fly to fucking Japan and meet with Yamamoto. Jake has done more to recruit Yamamoto to the Boston Red Sox, perhaps, than the owner of the Boston Red Sox. That might be true. That might be a factual statement. So I get it. And I think as far as like communication goes with the fan base and like letting them know how I feel, hearing how they feel, like it's a wide open door. It's a wide open door. I'm with you. I am also frustrated, but I have not thrown my hands up and said it can't happen. There's no way they're going to have a good offseason. Like,
that's the PTSD though, right? Like, that's the last couple off seasons of you coming out of the winter meetings and kind of being in this spot where, like, you know, you can't really look at yourself and say, oh, they're easily a contender or anything like that. And people are like, damn, it's already December 13th. Like, the off seasons I remember under like a Dombrowski, they got to work and they got to work quickly. By this time back then, you're like, oh, all right, I see the vision. Like, this all makes sense. They're pouring money. They're making deals. This is a slow bleed, and that's where you can relate Craig Breslow to Chaim Bloom, where it's like they're keeping a lot of avenues open. They're not forcing deals. They're kind of seeing where things go. And I think that's where people are at right now, where they're like, it just feels all too familiar. It's just, you can't jump that far when we know the market has stalled even more than past years because of Yamamoto, because of Ohtani previously. And then the trade market as a whole, who knows if they feel maybe come that time after a Montgomery goes off the board, and even if it's here, maybe they kind of step up in one of those directions and things change. But you can't completely jump off the ship. But if I'm being honest and I'm being real and I'm watching people get nervous and worried, no, it's hard to argue or say anything to them, because at the end of the day, the Yankees are going hard as fuck. And if it's not going to be Yamamoto, they already added Soto. They're going to go get something else. The Orioles are going to be even better than they were this past year. The Blue Jays, they're fucking fuming. They're embarrassed after the Ohtani thing. They felt like they got played in front of everybody at school. And then you have the Rays, who they're going to deal Glass now, but the Rays are going to be hard to deal with just in general. It becomes harder and harder to look at this year and say, why is this year going to be any different than the past couple bridge years? And then people will go, where's the bridge lead to? You know, it's not a bridge if it doesn't lead to anything. All right, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with you. But the financial landscape in baseball is changing. Look around. The Dodgers, the Yankees, they don't give a fuck about the luxury tax anymore. Yankees are going on their third year in a row. The Dodgers, infinite luxury tax. Fuck the world. Well, all right, the system the Red Sox have been operating under, it no longer really adds up or makes much sense. So are you going to sit at the big boy table with the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Mets? Or are you going to continue to operate on this old kind of format that you justified the last 5 years with?
Yeah. I'm not, it's a weird feeling because I feel like we haven't been here before. I'm going to try and lay out exactly where it is I think that I am or where we should be as a whole, because it is a nation divided for sure. There are people who are angry. I don't know that I'm seeing a ton of, and trust me, I'm not going to try and sell you on some bullshit. I don't know that I'm seeing much, if any, optimism Like they're
very little.
Yeah, I think the crowd where it's like, come on, man, like you're overreacting. Like be paid. Like that crowd has dissipated immensely. There's an angry mob, which they're not super rational. Like the angry mob, they don't think that there's any chance the Red Sox can do something this offseason. Then there's the crowd where I think I belong to, where it's like you're pissed, you're fed up, you're frustrated, but like you can at least see the path. And because it's Breslow's first year, you're thinking like, all right, like there's no way they fired Heim to bring in someone else to then do the same shit. Like, what is the point of that?
Well, and that's where you're getting some of the interesting crossover of the people who have been in the Heim camp, right, over the last couple of years that preached that patience and kind of said it again and again. Now they're turning and they're saying, well, all this talk, like one time got let out, you were letting leaks out left and right that he couldn't make the big deal, that really he was in the way a lot of the times of you being able to be the Boston Red Sox, not overthinking decisions and, worrying about Trevor Story's deal and Yoshida, the money he handed out. Well, even those people are now like, well, what the fuck's going on here? Because you just got your Hunter Renfroe, your Adam Duvall and Tyler O'Neill, right? Like you're adding a lot of pitching depth on the outside. And, a lot of people would probably tell you, if you're just being honest, the Alex Verdugo trade probably reminded them of the Andrew Benintendi trade, right? Like you could draw some interesting similarities. I would say, well, I don't think Bloom would have made that deal with the Yankees after what happened with Jeffrey Springs and that trauma. Thinking you had a pitcher that had something special, goes to Tampa, breaks out and is one of the more interesting pitchers in baseball before having Tommy John. But you're getting some of that crowd now. And I don't know, I would have never expected as much rage yesterday after that Seth Lugo whole signing. And I think it's just because a lot of people, very quick reactions, very quick to just be like, damn it, like what the fuck is going on? All I wanted was like, just give me something. And I'm not at the point yet where it's like, just give me something. I'm not far, but some people are starving. They're ready to eat even the roadkill off the road.
I am starving, Tyler. I am starving.
No, but like you said, if you overpaid for Seth Lugo, you would be like, all right, like, you know what I mean? Like you're not sitting there like,
within
I don't
reason.
give a fuck.
I'm starving within
too.
reason. Let me ask you this question. And it's not based on anything. I'm just asking.
Okay.
What would your reaction be? And this is not Scoop Shop. I'm just asking.
It's been quiet in the Scoop Shop lately, man.
It's been dead quiet. People keep asking me. They're like, is there anything going on in the Scoop Shop? I'm like, brother, nothing.
No scoops to be found.
Nothing. All right. What if I told you the Red Sox can sign Yamamoto, but you're going to have to give up 10 years, $350 to do it? Are you going to $350?
Yep.
Okay.
Don't even have to think about it.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay.
I think the deal at this point, like I think the conversation, if you just want to be grown and have it, it's $300 million. I think the way this conversation's going, and that's another $50 million in posting fees. But with the Dodgers and everything they've done with the luxury tax situation, they're bringing out Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, and Ohtani. They mean fucking business. And I'm not telling you that's that means he's going to go there or anything like that. But that shows how serious they are. The Yankees, all the shit they've been leaking to the media the last month about, the number bullshit, how badly they want him plus Soto. If I see Yama Soto on my friggin' timeline one more time, I'm going to friggin' jump off a bridge. I can't do it anymore. It drives me insane. I have it muted. That's how much it was bugging me. And that doesn't include Steve Cohen, who, wasted some time flying across the world to have a meeting with Yamamoto and his family. Kodai Senga's family was there, I believe, as well. So, like, there's a lot of people very heavily invested. Like, the Mets, they're going to sit there. If they miss out on him, there's going to be so much outrage towards that whole front office and what they got going on. There's a lot on the line involving this guy. People are going to go to whatever friggin' lengths they need to, and that's why Ken Rosenthal was kind of saying it today. It's not going to be money that really decides this at the end of the day.
Yes and no.
Yeah, you got to be there. You got to give him what he's worth.
He's not taking a pay cut to go where he's going, but he does.
Everyone's giving him it.
Yeah, he's got a specific list, and who knows, Tyler?
He's 25. He's 25. That's it. It's like, I'm 25. I'm one of the greatest pitchers on the friggin' planet. It's that simple. You got to give me my money, but anyone with a friggin' brain that has the ability to will be trying to be at that table giving him that offer.
Yeah. And I think, when you start to hear certain things about big name free agents, what they want from their landing spot, and it starts to get down into like this happens every time that there's a big name free agent. Oh, they prefer the West Coast, or oh, he wants to sign with his hometown team, or oh, he's looking for this amount of money. Like, how often do those things really get in the way? Because I remember Garrett Cole preferring the West Coast. I remember that. Like, I remember like plenty, like Albert Pujols. I remember him signing with the Miami Marlins. You remember that? He got like a 12-year deal with the Miami Marlins, and then it didn't happen. Like, there are plenty of examples of big name free agents, and it's like, yeah, they want to go down South Beach, you know, like, oh, this guy, he wants to play in for, like, he grew up a Dodger fan, he wants to play for the Dodgers, and then it like that shit doesn't matter. So when I start to hear things about this Yamamoto situation, right, where he's got a very not unreasonable, but like he's got a specific, you know, list of things that he would like in his free agent destination. Is that fair to say, Tyler?
Yeah, as he should. He has requirements.
They're not. It's yeah, like he knows what he wants. I almost with what Yamamoto is asking for from free agent destination teams, I almost respect it more than the guys that are like, yeah, I'm going wherever, whoever gives me, like Javi Baez. You think he wants to be in fucking Detroit? No, that's who gave him the most
Hell
money.
No.
Like Yamamoto has a list of things where it's like, I want this, and I want this. Plus fair market value, which is going to be a fuck ton of money. Like, we entered this offseason thinking he's going to get what, 200 million? I mean,
it was like added, too.
He added 150 million to his value just from taking a shit in like the last week.
Because that's what you realize when there's nothing you have to give up. This is the cheat code. This is the actual cheat code. If you can't develop pitching, you can't, you know, you're dying for that starter to anchor you. He's the cheat code.
When is the last time? The answer is probably never. When is the last time an ace pitcher hit free agency at 25 and didn't have a draft pick compensation or what did I just fucking say?
The draft pick compensation. Is that where you were going?
A compensation draft pick. Why did I fucking get that backwards?
I don't know. The Red Sox are frying your brain.
Listen, a compensation draft pick attached to him? Never. The answer is probably never. Like, I don't know who that person was. 25 years old. You'd have to come up to the big leagues at what, 18?
Yeah. You'd have to be Juan Soto. That's the comp.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to hit free agency at that same age range, you're Juan Soto.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't...
Like, the only person you can kind of compare it to, like, at least in terms of what's going to happen over the next couple of years, is Roki Sasaki. Yeah. Like, that's really the only guy, and he may hit it, you know, a little bit younger. Like, what? Tanaka, I think, was like 27, 26, right in that range. He's 35 right now. He signed in 2014. So, like, whatever, that's 9 years ago, 26, 27. Yamamoto goes even beyond what Tanaka was doing over there. And I know Tanaka is his mentor and everything, the guy he kind of based a lot of his mechanics and stuff off of. But, man, this is a cheat code for a team, especially like the Red Sox. All the pitching pipeline problems, all those things that have put you in the spot you are in today, just via money, no prospects, nothing else. You could give the biggest improvement, the biggest shot in the back to that with the Brian Bayo. It's perfect, but it's perfect for every other organization that has the money.
Yeah. So I obviously see the Heyman reports about the top three finalists, the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Yankees, and the Red Sox are just these fucking peasants or whatever.
At least they keep continuing no matter what. I've yet to, like, you know, Ken Rosenthal put out his piece on potential suitors today. At least the Red Sox were on that list. Like, the Cubs are getting left off at this point. It feels like you're in there. It just feels like, yeah, you're a little more on the outside than that inside favorite group.
Yeah. But I think the reasons why the Dodgers, Mets, and Yankees are more favorable landing spots for Yamamoto than the Red Sox, at least to these big name writers, is because of their recent history of spending big. Like, I guess the Red Sox gave Devers $300 and something million, but like the Yankees went big on Judge, Rodon. They put their nuts on the table for Soto. Like, they are active and aggressive over the last couple of years. The Mets, I mean, they didn't bring in Steve Cohen to lower the payroll. And then you have the Dodgers that just gave $700 million to Shohei Ohtani. So I get why those are the top three. The Red Sox are not giving you a reason to think that they are it's almost like they're a dormant volcano. Like they've spent big money before. They've put their nuts on the table before many times. Like they have outbid teams by a lot to get their guy. David Price, for example. Like the Cardinals were what, 180? They're like, boom,
hey, here's another
217.
25.
Yeah, fucking highest paid pitcher in baseball history. Nuts on the table. Dave Dombrowski. So that is my estimation why the Red Sox aren't in that top 3. It's because you've got 3 active volcanoes and you have 1 dormant one. And that's the Red Sox. The Red Sox are a dormant volcano. I don't know, to what we were just saying, like, what more do you need? What other box do you need to check? If you're ever going to spend big money again, and here's why the Red Sox fans that are frustrated right now are not wrong. Because when Mookie Betts was traded, we had to fucking sit there and take it. Like, hey, guys, we spent a ton of money, but you got 2018 out of it, right? It's worth it. We sold our soul to the devil for 2018. We spent all this money, and here we are, World Series champs, winningest team in Red Sox franchise history.
And then we sat there and took it when you said that Xander and Devers were going to be here for, the foreseeable future. We sacrificed Mookie so you don't have to worry about these. I'm not saying you should have gave Xander that contract, but the build up to that when you could have paid him correctly, we also ate that shit too.
Yeah. Yep. So
and I think,
but I'm just saying, like, they traded Mookie with David Price's contract, because that's a big factor that everyone kind of leaves out in the narrative. It wasn't just because, when you look at the return that Soto gets for 1 year, you're like, we didn't get that from Mookie. Well, the Dodgers had to take on half of David Price's contract along with the Mookie Betts part of that trade. So that's why the return wasn't as good. Still not an excuse. Still a huge fat L. Like we can sit here and chalk that up as maybe the biggest L in Red Sox history since Babe Ruth was trading Mookie Betts and getting Alex Verdugo and Connor Wong and fucking what's the other fucking idiot?
Jeter Downs.
DFA'd
recently again.
Yeah. I mean, it's a massive, massive L. And it's going to take decades to live that down. Like Mookie Betts is going to have to be retired, and the Red Sox will have had to have won at least 3 championships since he left to dig themselves out of that one at this point. But as the fan base, we were told we're going to trade Mookie Betts. We need to get under this luxury tax. We need to reset. And this is how we do it. Okay, cool. All right, that sucks. I'm pissed. I'm sad. I'm angry. But okay, whatever.
Every other team was doing it at the time. Like, all right, I can comprehend it.
They weren't trading their franchise players.
No, but in terms of functioning with the luxury tax.
The Dodgers did it. Yes, like the teams were doing it.
Yankees in 21, the Dodgers, they were under in 2020.
Yeah.
They got lucky when Price opted out.
So teams were doing this. Fine. Then we're sold on, we're taking a step back. We're taking 2 steps back so we can take a giant leap forward. And it was, to my estimation, correct me if I'm wrong, 2024 was the target year, right? I'm not saying the World Series year. I'm saying 2024 was the winter to spend.
You mean when Heimblum got here, like they were looking to 2024?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I think it was even sooner than that. I really do.
You think it was sooner?
I think that's why he doesn't have a job right now here. I think because they thought they were going to be further along. I still think realistically, and like I stand by this, I said it after 2021. If you handled that offseason correctly with Kevin Gausman, there's no reason this team couldn't have made that jump to be like the Dodgers or anything like that. Instead, they chose to kind of step and tiptoe that luxury tax line, and they paid for it to such a sincere and significant level when they fucked up the trade deadline that year and stayed over. That set them back another year. The truth is, you were supposed to leap forward in a major way going into 2022. 2021, you stay under the luxury tax. I defended it then. I'll defend it now. It made sense where you were. And yes, you went far. You went to the ALCS. When you went into 2022 and you let Kevin Gausman walk, you never made him a fucking call, and he goes to your division rival. That's what ate your ass. When you signed Trevor Story, and say what you will, he didn't work out. He wasn't giving you what you needed, and you were playing fucking Christian Arroyo and Jackie Bradley Jr. in right field. And a year after you were in the ALCS, man. You were that close to going to the World Series. That failure, that step back, and then doubling down, it cost you all of 2023. And we acknowledged, you know what? That was a failure, but we hoped going into 2023, once again, the convo was going to change. Well, then Xander walked, and they said, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this year. We're going to probably have to walk that line one more time. All right, I guess Bloom doesn't handle the deadline in the way people like. Now he's out. This offseason, you're like, fuck, man. How many times are you going to push it off? Like, this is 2 different times now. We've waited through miserable, tough seasons when we should have been up in that upper echelon again a long time ago. You should have been in that conversation in 2022 moving forward. Yet, you fucked it up.
Yeah.
That's Bloom's biggest failure. It really
Bloom's
is.
Biggest failure was not getting under the fucking luxury tax in 2022. Yeah.
And I said it that day, and I was a Chaim Bloom guy.
If you asked him right now, point blank, why do you think you lost your job? He would probably go back to that trade deadline in 2022.
100%. Because everyone in the world, like anyone with a brain, when we were doing that podcast and we were talking, I remember, I was like, I think Christian Vasek is going to get traded to Houston and JD will be flipped for, money just so they can get under. The shock I had that next day, just absolute disbelief. And anyone who was paying attention in baseball was like, how the fuck do you think you're still in the conversation if you're just being realistic with your roster? Yet they doubled down on it and they were out of it within 2 weeks.
It was bad.
What do you think of Tyler O'Neill?
Tyler O'Neill, baby!
T-Dog!
So I don't want to I see wait, before we get into Tyler O'Neill, I just want to say I need to correct something from last episode because I shared a story. I didn't go back and listen to it, so I don't even know what exactly I said, but we were talking about Alex Verdugo, and one of the stories about him going back to the hotel to buy chains after he got ejected from that game in Houston.
Yeah, you said he met up with his jeweler or whatever, right?
Yeah, the way that it was explained to me was that he left sooner than he should have, but I mean, I wasn't there. I don't know. But there's a second version of that story where it was after. So it wasn't a big deal at all.
I hate to say it because I know there's certain people in this space that don't want to admit Alex Verdugo ever did anything wrong. Man, the issues are a lot bigger than that. I hate to say it. That's just a bullet point on it. How about you show up on time for fucking games when your season's on the line? That's really what I have a problem with.
I think it was Lou that made this point on radio, but because fans were like, really, you're going to bench him for being late and blah, blah, blah. And Lou made the point. It's very obvious, but it didn't register in my brain until he said it. You don't get benched for being late the first time.
Nope.
That has to be something where it's like, man. Because at the time, that series against Toronto that you ruined the season, that was a big series. That was a tipping point for the entire season. So if Alex is benching Verdugo during that series for being late, there had to have been other things that he was doing that was pissing off Cora. There's no way you just get benched for a first-time offense.
We've had
this series.
Yeah, we've had this conversation. I don't want to get too deep into it because I'm not a Verdugo hater. You can listen to the friggin' podcast going into this year how I felt about Alex Verdugo. I liked the guy. I appreciated the guy. But at the end of the day, when you show up to spring training, you say you want to be a leader. You want an extension. You want all these different things. You're a new guy. You want to be one of the faces of this franchise. Cool. You need to act like it. And guess what? He did the first 2 months. And then he completely just fell apart as the year went along, starts dropping that 7 weeks comment, all those different things. The reporting's there. There were teammates in Alex Cora. Alex Cora was looking to move him. He made it clear to the front office, according to reports. There were players in that clubhouse who were good with Alex Verdugo. They just were kind of over it. Well, at the end of the day, say what you will. You don't know exactly what he was doing or whatever it may be. The guys in the clubhouse were good. The manager was good. And on the field, he was horrendous down the stretch as he was counting the weeks down to the end of the year. What else do you want? At the end of the day, it's about accountability and culture. And if you're going to give a guy a friggin' contract, if you're going to honor it and say, hey, this is someone we want to be here long term, well, they need to carry those values. They need to kind of be that Boston Red Sox player that you want the young guys on the roster to follow. Like we looked at Dustin Pedroia. You know what I mean? Like we looked at Xander Bogaerts, the guys we gave so much credit who got even more credit maybe beyond what they always did on the field. We held them to an even higher status because of what they were off the field.
Yeah.
Alex Verdugo didn't give it to you on the field, and he certainly didn't give it to you off the field.
No. But again, I'm not trying to slander the dude on the way out. I did want to provide that context to that story because I should have gone back and listened to exactly what it was that I said. But yeah, I guess it was the chains were after. I don't know. You can say it's a bad look or not. I mean, the dude's just buying jewelry. I don't know. Whatever. All right. So Tyler O'Neill gets traded to the Red Sox. And did someone pointed out that when we had Lou Merloni on, that he mentioned trading for a right-handed hitting outfielder that could play defense?
Yeah.
Like he said that with us?
Yeah, he definitely mentioned it with us. And I think Tyler O'Neill, like amongst Red Sox fans, like if, when you get to that point of like, October, November, the last couple of years when the Red Sox aren't playing, he's been a name that's been kind of floated out there as someone who can make sense because let's be real, when you got Adam Duvall, it was that kind of profile after, and he's been having these, a little bit of a disconnect with the Cardinals over the years between the logjam, Ollie Marmol this past year. Like he always felt like the kind of guy that would make sense. Now that was under Bloom. Now we see it under Breslow as well.
Yeah. And God bless him, one of my best friends in the entire world. Jimmy Stewart was stirring the pot big time on this one. I saw that clip where because he knows what he's doing. He's a wrestling fan after all. And he was pulling a heel move, trying to work the crowd by saying, they traded Alex Verdugo, an outfielder, to get an outfielder who also has what? Hustling issues. He got benched for hustling issues. It's like,
I'm sorry.
I remember watching the Tyler O'Neill clip, and it doesn't even look like he wasn't hustling.
Dude,
like,
he was hustling. Like,
the Cardinals
are going hard.
Yeah, like there is a vast difference between the behavioral issues of Alex Verdugo and Tyler O'Neill. Like, question: did Tyler O'Neill get benched for not hustling? Answer: yes. In the example in which he was benched for, was he actually not hustling? Debatable. I say he was running a hell of a lot faster than Alex Verdugo was for the times that he got benched.
And like when it happened, people were criticizing Ollie Marmol heavily, saying, could this be the move? And they were having clubhouse issues that existed throughout the year. That was like one of their big, like crucial points where people were like, damn, man, like, is this going to turn into something even bigger where, a couple months from now he loses his job? We're going to look at this as the big moment.
Yeah.
That was one of the ugly spots of that entire season for the Cardinals, and it was early.
I even got on him a little bit, and I met him when the Cardinals were in town. And he couldn't have been nicer. I was like, he was so fucking nice. He was that was a very enjoyable conversation. Good dude. But yeah, the Tyler O'Neill benching for not hustling. What a wildly overblown thing that happened in St. Louis. If there's anything that you want to point to, like if you want to criticize the Red Sox for making this deal, it's the fact that the guy can't stay on the field. Like that's it. Like he's battled injuries pretty consistently over the last few years. And if you think that this is going to be an everyday player for your team, then I got another, thing to tell you. It's just not going to happen. Like, I'd like to think maybe he could be an option that you at least have the intention of him being an everyday player. It's just not going to happen. Like he's just not been that guy. But the 1 year, what was it, 2021?
Yeah, you want the stats? Like they're ridiculous.
Yeah, what was it? Did he play like 130-ish games?
Yeah, 286, 352, 560, and 912 OPS, 34 jacks, 15 stolen bases, 8th in MVP voting.
Right.
Like ridiculous.
And you gave up Dick for this dude.
Yeah, you give up Nick Robertson for people who probably don't even remember. He was the big name that came in the Kike deal, and he got smacked around when he came over. He's a big stuff plus guy. We've talked about that with Caleb Ort back then. Someone a lot of the metrics guys enjoy. And do I think there was something in Nick Robertson to be a 7th inning reliever somewhere? Sure. But what have the Red Sox done since the offseason started? Isaiah Campbell, Greg Weisser, like they've been stacking these arms up. That's something they could deal from. And then Victor Santos did not even pitch this past year. Not a ranked prospect. Like definition of a org arm. You know what I mean? Someone you're never going to think twice about. It's this, maybe he would pitch in the big leagues one day, but it'd never be consistently.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I know that it's going to come across as a little bit of fence sitting, my reaction to the Tyler O'Neill trade. But I think it's just you're just being real about it, right? Like there's tremendous upside. The Red Sox lost their second best defender, their best defensive outfielder, their second best defender on the team, next to Trevor Story and Alex Verdugo. Lose that guy, you need outfield defense. Okay, cool. Did you give up a lot? No.
Nothing. You gave up absolutely nothing.
Yep. And the concern is going to be, can he stay in the field? 2021, we're now 3 years. That's fucking nuts. We're 3 years removed from 2021.
Yep.
Like, I remember sitting here being like, man, fucking 2018 was 3 years ago. That's crazy. Like, now it's 6. Now 2021 is becoming the distant memory. So that's his last great full season. It's been a while. Do I have high expectations for him? No. Would it be nice if he played a full season? Like, I'm not expecting 2021 numbers. I'm just not. Like, I'm not expecting that from him. Something that I do expect from him is defense. I would like that.
2-time Gold Glove Award winner.
Yeah. 2 Gold Gloves. The right-handed bat that Lou Merloni was talking about. And high offensive upside. It's Hunter Renfroe with better defense. It's this year's version of, I don't even know. Like, I guess it's Hunter Renfroe, but like not as healthy.
And I'd say maybe, you want to mention Duvall, like can play all 3 outfield spots according to The Athletic. That's the plan. They're going to mix and match him in some of those areas.
Yeah, maybe that's a better comp. It's a good defensive outfielder that's got right-handed pop that there's going to be some injury risk.
Yeah, and he's making half of what Verdugo is, so like you start to do some of the math there, so you're getting that option. And I think, like you said, health is the major standpoint, but if he's even been what he's been the last 2 seasons, he's basically the player Alex Verdugo is. He gets to it a little differently. Obviously, the plus defense is where they relate. Yeah, he hits for a lower average, but he walks a lot and he's going to hit bombs. Like, no matter what, the guy's going to hit homers. Like, over the last 2 years when he's been hurt, like, he's still hit 23 homers in 160 games, 25 doubles, and 19 stolen bags. Alex Cora talks all the time. I want athleticism. This year, I think it was like 80th percentile sprint speed. The years before, he was like 95 to 100. So, if you get a healthier version of Tyler O'Neill, maybe you get some of that. I guess where I'm curious here and where they kind of put this puzzle together is I hope they don't look at Tyler O'Neill and say, man, we don't need another right-handed bat. Because I think if you're approaching it that way, you're going about it in the wrong way. You start to look at this lineup, and I've seen, the MLB Network picture has been going around crazy on Twitter this week. I still think they're a bat short. And maybe Tyler O'Neill, if they look at him, and he's someone when he was with the Cardinals, John Mozeliak said it when they dealt him, he's an everyday player. He was very upset himself, Tyler O'Neill not being viewed as an everyday player. So I'm curious to see how the Red Sox approach it, because you go back to the Hunter Renfroe and the Adam Duvall conversation. Duvall dealt with injury, so it changed a little bit. Those guys did become everyday players, even though they looked maybe more like platoon guys at the time. And Tyler O'Neill mashes lefties, right? But already you put this outfield puzzle together, it feels like somewhat of the logjam you had when Alex Verdugo was here is back. That makes me question, are they setting themselves in a spot where, hey, we're going to be open to dealing one of these outfielders for the right pitcher if we need to? Because I think the lineup, if you think Tyler O'Neill's the right-handed bat that's going to get this lineup to where it needs to go, it's just not enough for me.
No, it shouldn't be enough for anybody. And I trust me, I see all the reports. You've got writers, you've got other executives that are praising the Red Sox for the deal. That's fine.
It's a good move.
I think the Rosenthal thing this morning was basically like, yeah, it was a cute little move. Cute. Like the Yankees got Juan Soto. I feel like that's maybe moves the needle a little bit more for most. But yeah, the moves the Red Sox are making is like, yeah, that's cute.
It's a good trade in a vacuum. When you look out at the outside picture and you realize what the Red Sox need to do, it's not going to get anyone going. It's not going to get you super excited. But yeah, it's following a similar plan to what Heim was identifying. Someone who should succeed at Fenway Park. And if at the very least it is a platoon in right field with someone like Wilyer Abreu and that's how they play it out, cool. Then is that Yoshida getting, a lot of time at DH? Like, how do they plan to go about it here? I'd be fascinated to see what they think of him as at this point.
Yeah.
Because I think they hope that version of Tyler O'Neill, even if it is the player he's been the last 2 years, if he can stay on the field, I think they'd look at him as an everyday player.
Yeah. Yeah. If he can stay healthy, He'll be in there every day. That's a big if. And sorry for being a Debbie Downer, but I don't anticipate that being the case. Hope I'm wrong. But I have
Even
no
you go
reason to believe that that would be the case.
You go before 2021, he was dealing with injuries then too. Like that's the reality of the situation. It's like 6 years and
2021 was an aberration.
Outlier, yeah.
Yeah. So that's, I mean, listen, we're going to full throttle at some point. But Jake, as the ambassador, you're basically like the leader of the Yamamoto to Boston campaign that's happening right now. You're the face of it.
Konnichiwa.
How do you feel it's going, and what percentage would you put on Yamamoto to Boston right now?
I mean, judging off just my tweets, 100%. Off every other tweets, maybe 2%.
2%?
Just like, I don't know. The reason that I put out the tweet yesterday saying reverse sweeps on opening day if it's not Yamamoto is like, they told us full throttle. Like, we didn't just make this up out of nowhere. Like, if you tell me full throttle, I'm like, okay, full throttle. And there was 3 guys that are full throttle. It's Soto, Ohtani, and Yamamoto. 2 of them are off the table. So, I mean, if you still want to say full throttle, then it's Yamamoto or bust in my eyes.
That's a reasonable take.
And where I'll allow the out if you don't land one of those guys, if we get the report and everyone will be like, oh, interest kings, of course you're in. If the Red Sox offer what the money is and he says, hey man, I wanted to be a Yankee, I wanted to be a Dodger. All right. And then you pivot to Montgomery and you make a deal for a legit, starter, or you sign a mid-rotation guy, and it's a fine rotation. You're definitely better than you were last year. You're a playoff contender maybe, but you're definitely not a World Series contender. I can accept that. If I hear you weren't willing to get in a bidding war, which Mark Feinstein said, the expectation around the league is that the Red Sox and Cubs aren't in it for a bidding war, well, then we have a fucking problem. That goes back to the whole conversation of, if you won't fight for him in a war, you'll never fight for anybody else. And that's just the truth of it. It tells you they only paid Devers because they were scared the mutiny was about to friggin' rip Fenway Park out of the ground.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think everyone listening right now is familiar with that Lou Merloni tweet from last night.
You know something?
I do. That Lou Merloni tweet goes out last night, and I'm in Target with my sister because I was making her wrap my Christmas presents. So we were buying some tape and tags and wrapping paper, things of that nature. And then I'm in the fucking...
You didn't come to aisle 14.
Yeah, I was going to, but then I knew that you were there, so I didn't.
Yeah, I was just like sitting there like naked, covered in like a bunch of weird shit sitting there waiting for you.
So I'm in the electronics aisle. Like, I was looking for an extension cord to hang my wreaths in my window. And I see this tweet from Lou Merloni. I'm going to bed tonight feeling better about Yamamoto. That's it. That's all I said. I'm going to bed tonight feeling better about Yamamoto.
After the explosion of the Seth Lugo freak-out reaction.
Yes.
At a time when no one was willing to say a positive thing on Twitter. Lou's out here like, let me be your guiding light just for a night.
Yeah. And I mean, people obviously went ballistic with this tweet because we haven't even had a tease this winter. Nothing. Not even a crumb. So this was like our first crumb. So I take out my phone immediately and I FaceTime Lou Merloni in the middle of the electronics aisle. He answers the phone. He's sipping on some scotch, I believe.
Classy.
And like one of those it's almost like a shot glass sized like goblet. It's like a mini. Yeah, sipping some scotch. And I was like, tell me what you know. We just have this conversation about some conversations that he had. And obviously, we can't go into full detail. We're not going to reveal sources and the full nature of the discussion. But what I came away from the conversation with Lou was as I tweeted yesterday, I was at 5%. And then I think I went up to 12 to 15%, which I think it's not like I'm not out here getting people super excited, like, oh fuck, it's happening.
Dude,
It's
they
like,
mentioned you on the Fenway Rundown with Cotillo and McAdam. Like, everyone saw Lou Merloni and Jared Carabas on Twitter last night. Like, there's some momentum or there's something. Like, there's a little more hope than there was when everyone woke up.
yeah, I think the word I'll use is context. Like, it's not, I wouldn't use the word momentum. I would
Connecting
use the word
dots.
context. I would use the word clarity, you know, like you are connecting dots. I think for me, and this is kind of what I said to Jake before we came on, like based on that conversation with Lou, it's almost like we know a little bit more about what Yamamoto is looking for and like how he sees other landing spots versus like, you know, John Henry is determined to get Yamamoto. He's willing to go to 400 million. Like, it's not that. Like, it's not, because then like, let's just say hypothetically in the phone conversation, like Lou's like, oh yeah, like John Henry said, if it takes 4 million, I'm fucking spending it. Then I'd be like, oh fuck, like it's 90% chance. You know, like they're not gonna, like if everyone else is gonna have like a walkaway price, but if John Henry doesn't have one and he wants Yamamoto, then fuck yeah, like let's go. But it wasn't that. It was more just context of kind of like almost like process of elimination. Like your chances are slightly better due to process of elimination. That's what the conversation was. So I went from 5% chance to somewhere between 12 and 15%.
Assumptions we've made based on reports that have come out, right? Those assumptions were not what we thought they were.
No.
It's a different picture behind the scenes of what it is. And like you said, it makes you put that favorite list a little bit differently than maybe you're seeing it on John Heyman's Twitter right now.
Yeah. 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 You know who I want to see right now?
Who?
I want to see Jahmai Webster.
Oh,
I want to see Jahmai Webster. There he is.
Nice to meet you, Jahmai.
What's up, man? Nice to meet you too, bro.
You've never met Tyler before?
Nah, man, not in person.
Wow. That's you're lucky. He's,
all right.
Yeah.
No need for that.
No, you're lucky. You've met Jake though, right?
No, I can't say that I have,
I
right?
don't think we met now.
No,
Damn.
I'm meeting everybody for the first time except you, dude.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Wow. Where is home for you?
Me, Boston.
Like what neighborhood?
Oh, like where I'm like originally, like the
no,
OG
no,
home?
no. Like where is your like? Give me your address. I want to come over. Is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay,
I'd also like to come to mine.
Okay.
Yeah, come through, pull up, man. I'm down here in Boston.
You're in Boston.
Yeah, like legitimately, like Forest Hill Station is just down the street. Jamaica Plain right over here.
Damn.
So that's where I'm at, dude. Like,
wow, you're in the shit.
Yeah. I wish I was in the suburb. I'm trying to move, man. I'm trying to find me a new spot, but
you guys
it's
can
tough
move in.
right now.
I might have a house opening up in my neighborhood. You should move in over here.
I don't know, man. I think I'm a South Shore guy. I think.
What?
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. I just like everything is so familiar.
Who talked
for me.
you into that nonsense? I'm assuming
Jahmai,
that
life's good down here. I'm just saying.
no, he lives in the slums. I think there's someone who talked you into the South Shore being better than the North Shore.
Man, honestly, I used to hear Eck talk about how he would drive in, and then we got Lou Merloni's down this way too. So, I'm not gonna go to Duxbury way down there where they are, but I might mess with Quincy or Braintree or
Brockton.
No. Yeah, Weymouth even.
No.
Yeah,
So,
Jahmai, we could do a lot of cool things in Brockton together. That's all I'm saying.
It's on the list right now, man.
No.
Part of it is because my daughter she goes to school in Braintree, so I'm trying to get closer to there because the drives in the morning are kind of brutal, man.
Yeah. No.
So it's like 25 minutes, but it's you do that twice a week or whatever, twice a day, morning and night, fighting that traffic. It's not ideal. So I'm trying to get closer over there. So I can't move to Saugus because that's gonna take me like an hour, dude. That's gonna take me like an hour.
Like 20 minutes. 20 minutes from door to door.
In what world?
Park?
No way.
To Fenway Park?
Yeah, to Fenway.
Well, I mean, what time do you usually get there? You get there when I get there. So you
like
get there for what? Yeah, that's perfect.
So,
if you're not going there during rush hour, which if you leave around 2, which I usually do, 25 minutes door to door.
Yeah, but I got to go to other places. Like I got to go to Braintree in the morning to take her to school. I got to pick her up sometimes.
Well,
Like
you
right now,
take
off
her
season.
out of school to live in Saugus. She'd go to Saugus public schools.
I don't know. We were kind of she goes to a private school right now, so we're kind of committed to going to school at this place. She loves it. She's thriving, man. I'm trying to get my daughter into Harvard or something. So I'm investing in her education right now. So in the future, she can be solid.
All right. So then why don't I'll homeschool her and you can
Are
pay
you a
me.
product? You're a product of Saugus Public Schools, right?
Yeah.
Say less. Say no more.
Saugus High. Back in the day, they put my book on the summer reading list. So
Really?
Just saying.
Wow.
That was required reading in 2010 to like 2012.
That's quite the accomplishment. Once she gets into more sports, I'm gonna see if she'll be into that. She's reading novels right now, little kid ones.
How old is she?
6. She'll be 7 in about 3 weeks.
A 7-year-old reading novels. Tyler, when's the last time you read a book, period?
I'm going to be real. I don't even know how to read.
Oh, man.
What's that?
I got my little library here.
There used to be the Treehouse, right? Didn't they go on like little adventures? Wasn't that like a kid series back in the day? I used to read Goosebumps. You ever read Goosebumps?
Solid.
Come on.
That was a solid one. Right.
PTSD, a lot of trauma.
You had, the Magic School Bus. You had all that stuff, man.
Credit to her. She's already, her reading level has surpassed mine. Probably Jared's as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's where it
read a
starts,
lot.
man.
I don't read a lot.
That's where it starts.
All right. So what is your background? Because I don't know. Like, did you grow up a Red Sox fan? Like, where are you from?
No, man. Come on, dude. I'm from Los Angeles, man. I was born in LA. Yeah. So
you're a Dodger guy?
Yeah, that's where I grew up, being a big time Dodger guy. So like a part of me is like very excited for Shohei Ohtani for the next decade, doing those things. The kid that I grew up with, I was cheering for those teams where, they weren't doing so hot. But
are you still invested? Do you still care if the Dodgers win and lose?
I don't know if I would say not invested like that, but it's like you might have an ex-girlfriend where you're like, I'm gonna go down memory lane here and check in every now and again. So I see what our guy Mookie is doing, and JD was over there, so I check in and see Ryan Brazier even.
Yeah,
last year.
There, Joe Kelly.
So Joe Kelly, good guys that I got a relationship with still. So I just every now and then I check in to see what's going on. So I like to see them do well. I like good people to have success. But it's not like a everyday thing. Like I'm in this Red Sox thing. You know what I mean? It's a daily grind. I'm locked into it, so I don't have time to see what's going on. But every now and then I check some West Coast baseball.
Yeah, that's fine. So what I kind of like is like Mike Trout, for example. He's an Angel, but everyone knows he's an Eagles fan.
Right.
I think if you were if you were a Dodger fan, no one would be like, Jahmai, what the fuck, man? Like you can't be repping the Dodgers. Like, dude, he grew up a Dodger. Like, be true to it, but you can still love and support the Red Sox. Like, if that's your job, like your job is infinitely more fun when the Red Sox are winning. So, like, you can definitely have a rooting interest in both teams. Like, I don't
exactly, and it doesn't make it that difficult either because you got one National League team, you got one American League team. Now, if I grew up in Baltimore or something, it'd be difficult. Or if I grew up in New York in the Bronx, it'd be tough to kind of have the two allegiances. Right. But I feel like once you get into it, you kind of lose that little bit of the emotional tie to it. But I check in every now and again.
That's fair. Speaking of, it's more fun when they win. They have been losing for the last couple of years. How much, like, do you still? Because I know that, like, it depends. Like, it's not like they've been abysmal for last place teams. They haven't been. It hasn't been 2020. Like, it hasn't been like, who are these players? This is miserable. They have no chance at winning this baseball game. Like, last year was more, they win 5 straight, they lose 7 straight. It was just up and down, up and down, up and down. Do you find it difficult to be able to do your job when the team isn't playing as well?
Yeah, in some aspects, because, winning, it just breeds much more fun for everybody. I mean, the guys are happier, the The food tastes better on the plane. Everything is just like the vibe is fantastic. So it's been tough to be covering losing teams, especially towards the end. Thank goodness. I mean, there was still like a glimmer of hope until the last couple of weeks, the last few years. I mean, in 22 as well. It felt like it wasn't until like the last week of the season where it was like, all right, they're not going like officially, where people were like, yeah, getting ready for the offseason. What am I going to be doing? All that stuff. Last year was a little bit longer. We kind of found out pretty quickly that it wasn't going to happen. But I feel like because I'm an eternal optimist, like I have optimism. I'm always trying to go into a situation thinking the best. Like I thought that team last year was going to make the playoffs. You know, I thought that they'd probably hit 90 wins. Didn't happen. Some injuries happened, things that you can't really forecast. But it's a much better team when they're playing well and guys are having more fun and they give you better stuff. They're more inclined to talk to you because they don't feel like they have to work on every single thing because they want to try to turn something around. So I think the overall product is better when they're having fun. And you know, that's what makes it fun. But these last place finishes, man, I hope it ends this year because that not making the playoffs has not been fun. And also because, you know, you're grinding with everybody basically all the way from spring training until the fall. So when they make the postseason, it's like, all right, let's go. And you've had these relationships that you built with every single player, and you have this opportunity to kind of see those through some of the most exciting times of the season. Like 21 was like, that was a wild ride, man. That was so much fun. And then even when it ended in Houston, it was like, man, that's crazy. You know, you kind of look up and come up for air. Like, I can't believe it's over. 2 games away. And then the last few years have been kind of brutal. So I never really covered a losing baseball team, which I kind of been blessed in that regard. When I got here in 2016, even though the season had been over, that was David Ortiz's last year. So, you know, they come in 17, they're still a playoff team. 18, they win it all. 19, they're still kind of coming off the World Series hangover, even though they missed the playoffs. But it felt like that team was trying to fight their way to a postseason. 20, I actually didn't cover at all. I didn't really do anything with that season because it was the COVID year. And then 21, my first full season as just strictly just sideline reporting, was incredible. And then the last 2 years, like I said, just been brutal. So I'm hoping that this year, which I'm like watching my phone every 2 seconds, like waiting till they sign Yamamoto. Like, what's going on? Where's the splash going to happen? So I think they still need pitching depth. They got a few little, you know, minor pieces. We saw a little buzz earlier today, whatever, but I think there's still more to be done. So I hope that big splash from the Red Sox of the past that I'm used to seeing is kind of part of the 2023 offseason still.
Yeah, it's depressing. We were just talking about that for a little bit. It just, you know, we're waiting for that buzz, and it is I mean, like the last
Roberto
time,
Perez, Jared, come on.
Roberto Perez. Yeah, I brought this point up to someone with the Red Sox, and I was like, man, I've been waiting for that breaking news tweet for fucking ever. I was like, the last time that it happened was the Chris Sale trade.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, when we signed JD Martinez, and I was like, all right, fine. But that was still 5 years ago. Like,
wow,
like that's not any
crazy.
better. Like that was February of 2018 was when that went down. Like that is a long time ago. So I'm dying for that juice again. But you mentioned
mean to tell me the Cooper Criswell tweet didn't do it for you?
I was actually, you know, we haven't even brought that up yet. I kind of want to hit on that because like the second that I tweeted that out, I heard from someone in his camp.
Oh,
and,
no.
I was like, listen, tell him that it's not like I'm not mad at him. Like I'm mad that ownership hasn't stepped up yet. All I tweeted was, we are throttling right now. I was like, he is just it is just a situation where he is just going to be caught in the crosshairs in a situation where the Red Sox fans are not happy with ownership right now. They're not happy with the lack of action.
See, if like Catillo or someone tweeted it out, I feel like everyone would have been like, all right, like, yeah, it's local stuff. You know, this guy, he has an option. He's going to be shuttled between AAA and the big leagues. Jeff Passan drops the bomb at 11 p.m. at night. You think the craziest thing just happened.
You know what? You're absolutely right. To put it that way, it certainly drives the point home. It's like, okay, you think it's about to be some major splash, and it's like, what? We got to back into this guy made spot start or whatever the case may be, and he's probably a great guy. I'm sure we'll beat him down the line, but it's kind of put him in a bad spot with the fan base. The fact that it's him as one of the first pitching dominoes to fall when you still got Yamamoto on the board.
That's the first free agent contract that Craig Breslau's given out is fucking Cooper Criswell, who, by the way, hey, we follow each other on Instagram now. Maybe we'll be best pals. But
get him on the pod.
When you see Jeff Passan, like obviously I have all like the tweet notifications for like the major writers for Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
I see it pop up, and like your brain or your eyes never start at the top of the sentence. You see Jeff Passan, you see a block of words, and then you just like jump to the middle to see Red Sox, and you see Red Sox, and you're like, where's the name? Where's the name? And it's like, who the fuck is this? Like, it's awful. It's awful. And I feel bad for Cooper. I think because all the dude did, like from what I was told, he had a very competitive market. And that he had major league offers, he had minor league offers, he had contending teams that were interested. So like that part of it's like, all right, like whatever. It's $1 million. It's a 1-year contract.
Yeah.
And it's for a dude that maybe Andrew Bailey and Craig Breslow see something that they can fix.
Yeah.
Fine.
Spear said it today. He's like, he's going to be stretched out at AAA and he'll work there. And with the option, whenever you want him, you can call him up and you can do it the entire year long back and forth.
But certainly not what you used to seeing from the Red Sox. And not often do you see Passan's tweets in regards to free agents have a little bit of a note that says the guy was designated for assignment.
Right.
I'm surprised he didn't turn it down. If he was like, hey, man, I appreciate you giving me this news to break. Pass it off to somebody else.
Right,
like,
exactly.
I'm not putting this on my Twitter feed.
Yeah.
It's like there's levels to this breaking news stuff. And, you got to reach my threshold. But that's hilarious.
I feel bad.
Hey, watch him be, one of the All-Stars. Who never knows? He's gonna be back there. It's gonna be next year. It's gonna be Criswell, Chris Martin, Kenley Jansen. That's your 7, 8, 9 right there.
Mm-hmm. Big Chris. Yeah, that is that's just it's unfortunate timing because everyone was pissed about Lugo, and then
that's true.
Lou puts out the tweet about Yamamoto being like, and then you get breaking news from Passan. You sign this dude that no one's ever heard of, but hey, we've heard of him now. He's a somebody now. At least
right, exactly. He is so solid. Had leveraged the great market, so he's business savvy. At least his campaign.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question, Jahmai. What team that you've covered do you feel like has embraced you the most?
Oh, that's a good one, man. That's a great one. Oh, I'm about to go back. I mean. It probably would be that 2018 Red Sox team, honestly. But I mean, like, I feel like it's never been like a contentious thing with me and any of the players or anything. So I feel like every team has had like it's been like a good vibe. We've gelled. I've gotten the things that I needed. They understand, and the relationships have all been solid. But I do feel like that 2018 team probably was the most warming and accepting, maybe because they were winning. That made things easy, but just like the personalities in that clubhouse at the time too, like, Rick Porcello, David Price, Mookie, JBJ. So a lot of those guys, it was just so easy to talk to. So maybe that made it that much easier for me to do my job because, the guys are really successful. Xander Bogaerts. I mean, the list goes on. Devers even, at that time as a younger player, but it'd probably be that team. I mean, it's hard to just stacking the seasons. It's hard to go up against probably any other roster that they've had as opposed to that one. I'd say it's that 2018 team. I mean, even down to like Heath Hembry and
Heater.
All those guys, like I really had a great relationship with those guys and they were fun. Eduardo Nunez, like, it's definitely 2018. Yeah,
he was great.
Definitely. Dude, by the way, that it makes me sad to this day because that is the greatest. We do these My Stories where we sit down with these guys and we tell their story from beginning to present day. And that will be the greatest My Story never to be seen was my sit down with Eduardo Nunez. Some incredible gems came out of there. Such a funny guy, jovial smile. His laugh was just like, I wish I could put it on repeat. Best. It was the absolute best. And it was one of those things where the suits and everybody was trying to figure out how we're going to match it up and how we're going to, lay out each different episode. And it got to a point where then he was hurt and then he was gone and it never saw the light of day, man. So
that's awful.
That one still kills me to this day.
I have this right here. This is Eduardo Nunez's laugh for anyone that's never heard it.
You're going to teach me how to speak Starbucks. I
An all-timer, man. An all-timer. It was like a mix between hyena and human.
How much was that worth?
I have like a whole highlight reel of his laugh.
Yeah.
Like just it was like a compilation of Eduardo Nunez laughs.
All right, we're going to take a quick break from our interview with Jahmai Webster to bring you a word from our sponsor. Baseball may be finished, but there's a new season to be happy about, the holidays. And the beer that was perfect for baseball is also the perfect match for a brighter holiday. From its bold, refreshing flavor to its beautiful, bright color, Blue Moon Belgian White Belgian-style wheat ale is made brighter for the holidays. My first thought when Jahmai talked about moving to the South Shore is, boy, he's going to need some Blue Moons if he's going to be living down there. And I'm not speaking on the South Shore in general. I'm sure it's a great place to live. I'm a North Shore guy. Nothing against the South Shore, though. It's just, if you're going to be anywhere near Tyler, you should have a lifetime supply of Blue Moons. I mean, you can see what Brockton's done to this guy. It's written all over his face. So my one piece of advice to Jahmai is if you're going to move down to the South Shore, you better have a fridge stocked full of Blue Moons, because if you're anywhere near Tyler, you're going to need them. Blue Moon Brewing Company beers are made brighter as the perfect complement to the holiday season. From Blue Moon Belgian White's refreshing flavor, to Light Sky's real tangerine peel taste, to Moon Haze's juicy burst of flavor, the whole crowd will be reaching for the bright stuff this holiday. With its refreshing flavor with Valencia orange peel for a subtle sweetness and hints of coriander, Blue Moon Belgian White Belgian-style wheat ale is a beer that's made brighter. It's carefully crafted and full-flavored with refreshing notes and a smooth, creamy finish. The season should be merry and bright, so Blue Moon is a perfect match for the holidays. The crack of a beer, the pour, the first sip of that bold flavor, Blue Moon always feels like a special occasion. Best served with its signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful bright color, a beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon, but you can enjoy it all through the holidays. Brighten up the holidays with a beer that's made brighter. Get Blue Moon Belgian White Belgian-style wheat ale, Light Sky, and Moon Haze delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared for delivery options. That's get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado Ale.
So, based on your answer, you and I might be the only two people, if you consider me to be a media member, the only two people in the media member space that had a good relationship with David Price.
You, me, and Chris Smith from Mass Live.
Okay.
He absolutely loves Smitty for some odd reason. Like, their relationship, even to me, was strange. He loved him. Like, I'd walk into the clubhouse 3:00. Smitty would be over there in the corner where DP had his locker. They'd be chatting about the most randomest things. Be asking about his family and stuff, his dog, Astro. And he was the one guy that he was consistent with. And I just thought that was the funniest thing. You got to ask him about it. But yeah, Smitty had a great relationship with David Price. But the thing is, and like I just treat everybody the same. And I think that's it. Like, and for me, especially too, since I got to be there every day, like I don't just talk to guys when I need something. Like, I have conversations with them, like, how's things going today, check in on their lives, and just like talk random stuff at times because, I'm not going to be just standing in the corner or standing in the middle, just waiting for my moment to kind of go in. And I think that's the problem that a lot of guys have with some of the baseball press, especially when they're on the road, which is, I've seen this on multiple occasions too, where you just go up to a guy, you haven't introduced yourself, you just stick a mic in their face and you start asking questions. Mm-hmm. I saw that play out last year in Tampa with Kike Hernandez, which was actually like, it took everything within me not to start laughing because he looked at him like, who are you? Like, what do you want? And he actually asked him that, like, who are you? And the guy was like, oh, I'm such and such with the Tampa Bay Times, yada, yada, yada. He's like, okay. He's like, can I ask you a couple questions? He's like, yeah, sure. So then,
right.
It's just having that relationship, building on that, And then when you need something, it's like, oh, hey, by the way, can I ask you a couple questions about something? And it's like, cool, yeah, for sure. But I think that's part of it. And that was kind of David's thing. And he kind of enjoyed, at least from my perspective, like the friction that was created to make people a little bit uncomfortable because everybody wouldn't take that approach. So he kind of got a kick out of it, I feel like.
Yeah, he had some run. Like I remember the blow up that he had with Evan Drellick with like the footage that never saw the light of day. But I think I heard about it because I think I was doing stuff with NBC at the time and he was with NBC. So like I heard kind of like how it went down. But I was like, you know, do you ever start to think that like maybe it's just because you're a dickhead? like he, you know, I've always been nice to him, so he likes me. Whereas I think that like, you know, your line of questioning can come off as a little condescending. So therefore he's not going to like you. Like, would you like to be asked questions in a condescending tone? Probably not. But you have to answer them as part of your job. Whereas he makes $30 million a year and he has the right to tell you to fuck off. He doesn't have to answer those questions if he doesn't want to. He can talk to Chris Smith in the corner and get plenty of chatter if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah, I think that's part of it for sure. It's about having that feel, having that ability to approach it in the right way too. You got to come correct.
Yeah. Is there anyone that you thought you might not get along with just because they were kind of prickly and then you ended up having a good relationship with them?
It's another good one, man. You got me. It's like Stump the Schwab here. Who would that be? I guess it was some first name or first face that pops up in my head when I think about that. It's probably go back to 17, probably be Petey. Yeah. Just thinking like, you know, he's got this reputation of being just like a kind of pretty straightforward, hard nose or whatever. And it was a little bit intimidating. It's funny because we're like the same age, but it just felt like he had been like this, you know, 10-year vet, and I'm like a rookie coming into the league, even though I guess I was at that point in time in my Red Sox tenure. So just like the first conversation, introducing myself, it was just like, oh, he's not so bad. You know what I mean? It's just like, you just treat him like regular people. So, and, you know, see him every now and then and still say hi and stuff. But it at first it felt like, wow, it kind of like, it makes you a little bit apprehensive to approach them at different times. But again, you just, you know, treat them like regular human beings and just talk to them as you would anybody else that was like in your orbit on a daily basis. Yeah. So just keep it cordial. And then, you know, when it's time to business, they respect it.
Yeah. I mean, so you came in at a very interesting time because it was like 3 straight division titles. Things are good, but it was also a John Farrell clubhouse, which was a little bit more buttoned up. So I interviewed Eduardo Nunez after the 2018 World Series. So they had just won, but he was on the team in 2017. So he had 1 year Farrell, 1 year Cora.
Of AC, yeah.
Yes. So he got traded there, I believe, from the Giants in 2017.
Yeah. It was in Seattle. I remember the day because Dave Dombrowski was there. And then that, like, we had been running the video back and forth of like him saying peace out to his Giants teammates. And then we were like, yeah, reportedly he's on the way. And then Dombrowski had his press conference in the clubhouse. I'll never forget because this was like the first big domino. And then, you know, I think Steve Pierce came later. But
this was a trade in 17.
Oh, that's right. 17. That's right. So, yeah. I'm mixing the years. But yeah, this happened in Seattle from what I remember.
Yes. So I asked him about like the differences in the clubhouse. And he told me a story about when he first got traded over to Boston. And he was like walking around the clubhouse. And then he went to go like sit down and eat. And he was like, why? Like, he's like, we're in first place, right? And they're like, yeah. Like, why does it feel like we're in last place? Like that was the energy in the clubhouse. Do you remember kind of like being around the team and how like it kind of changed under Cora and how like awkward it was? Because like you could feel it as a fan that the energy was just weird in like 17.
Yeah, I mean, now that you bring it up, there was a major difference with just guys being a little bit more relaxed, and it was like in school when like you're over here in the corner and like you're doing some work or something and like you're talking to your buddy and the teacher passes by. It's like, let's get back to it. And then she leaves or whatever. That's how it was when Farrell would walk through the clubhouse. It seemed like it's like, oh, Dad's here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we gotta just chill. It was you definitely felt that. But you see Alex Core kind of walk in there and he's talking to guys, chatting, tapping them, and speaking. And it's just a different feel for sure. That was definitely felt, I think, in those back-to-back years.
Yeah. And a job like that, like you can take college courses and things like that, and they can tell you stories or whatever, but it's a very much learn on the fly kind of job. Like there's not going to be someone that's going to hold your hand through your first year or whatever. What do you recall was your biggest learning moment?
Ooh, biggest one. Well, I mean, I feel like it was such a difficult learning curve. That entire first year, honestly, because I had never done baseball sideline in any capacity. Like it just wasn't, there's not like real opportunities like coming from local news, which is where I was at. I was in Denver prior to that. I was in Hawaii prior to that. I was in Texas, and I was doing local news, working for the local ABC affiliates. So I had done one freelance high school football game for Fox Sports. At the time, it was St. Louis, where Marcus Mariota went to high school, versus Bishop Gorman, which is in Vegas. And actually, it's funny. So Shane Victorino's son was on that Bishop Gorman team because his wife, was on that Bishop Gorman team because his wife, I believe it's her son, but he was on that team or somebody in relation to them. Victorino had some kind of connection to Bishop Gorman. And then obviously on the St. Louis side, there's so many Hawaii connections. But I remember she being there, and I think I might have interviewed her during the game. But anyways, that was my only experience like doing live programming or production. And then coming here, I was just like, I'm gonna be hired as a host. I'm gonna do Nesson Daily, Nesson Live, Nesson Sports Today. Like I'm do those shows or whatever. And, I'll be filling in like, doing like 20 games on the Red Sox broadcast. So I was like, oh, this would be super cool. Like I'm excited about the opportunity, but like not really literally having no idea like how to prepare, like what's important, what things people care about hearing. So that whole thing was like learning on the fly and trying to understand it. So like even the questions that you ask, like you ask a baseball player coming from like the traditional sports, it's not like football. You could be like, oh, well, what was the like, how big was the win? You know what I mean? It's like, dude, we got 162 of these things. Like they're all important, whatever. So it's more so like process oriented, like the approach, strategy behind something. Like, why did you do this? What did this mean? So like I even had to rewire my brain, just like asking the type of questions that would elicit an interesting answer that a baseball audience would kind of find intriguing. So that was the difficult part. TC helped me with that tremendously. Like we had a producer at Nesson, Dave Miller, who came from ESPN. He spent like 30 years there. He was like very high up. He gave me like a list of ways to ask questions and to like get the best responses and things like that. So like people would help me along, and they really, really took me under their wing, like everybody at the company at the time, because they wanted me to succeed in the role. I mean, it was just incredibly nerve-wracking those first few years because I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm here. So let me just like try to make the most of it. But, when you're having success, it's easy. But when you're like struggling at that, it's tough because you're just like, I don't know if I want to continue doing this. But it's like, you don't want to tell them that you don't want to do this opportunity because you need to have those reps. You need to get better. And that's what happened eventually. But man, it was a struggle. It was a struggle, and a lot of the best things would just come off me just doing things on the fly, or just it'd be personality based, like just eliciting a great answer or going off of that. But like the X's and O's of the game, that was difficult for me to like comprehend and put into a way where I can try to get the best answers. So I would say growing up too, like baseball was probably like number 3 on my sports list. Mm-hmm. It was like the top 2. It was football, basketball. You can either interchangeable, whatever. baseball was down there, like something that I watched every now and then in the summer. Like my dad's from San Francisco. That's where he grew up. So my grandmother was a huge baseball fan when she was alive. She's a huge Giants fan. She would like literally watch games. And I remember being like 11 when I stopped playing T-ball, and I was like, baseball is too hard. It's too difficult. Like, I just want the immediate result. I want to like hit the ball, hit home runs, and let it be success. But once I started striking out and started like, making mistakes in the field or whatever, I was like, this game is ridiculous. I'm done with baseball. I wish I would have stuck with it. But anyways, I remember being over there at my grandmother's house, and she'd be watching Giants games in the summer. And like, these are vivid memories where it just be, I feel like the days were moving like molasses, so slow. The game was so boring. I was like, I just want to play outside or do something. So I got away from the game for so many years, and then would be like a casual observer checking in to, some of the big superstars back then, especially some of some of the black superstars like King Griffey, Barry Bonds, some of those guys who I could like relate with or who I felt like were, bigger than the game. I mean, Griffey had his own shoes. Everybody wanted those, stuff like that. So that's what I would connect with. But I wasn't like I am now, where I'm checking the casual game out, or like I'm watching the West Coast games that are coming on, or like it's my day off and I'm still like locked into baseball on the TV. So that took a while to get that passion again, I guess, for the sport, and to like really be into the goings on of what's going on. Cause you kind of got to be locked into it as a person on the beat, whether you're doing it as a writer or in TV, as a reporter, play-by-play analyst. You kind of got to be locked into it every day and kind of have the storylines around the league to know what's going on, because you're dealing with teams from different leagues. You're dealing with different players, different managers, different coaching staff. So at first, the game just seems so big. Like, you got 26 guys. You got a coaching staff that's like 10. You guys got analytics guys, even though it was a lot smaller back then. So I just didn't know where to start. It's like placing you somewhere and saying, okay, go find the best stuff. And it's like, well, there's like 100 options here. Like, what am I going to find, and what do people care about? So that was the most difficult thing. And then you think about the play-by-play guys, and the color guy are going to take the top storyline. So I got to find like the second layer of what's good. So that made my job even that much more difficult, because I couldn't be like, oh, Rafi Devers is on a 10 home run streak for the last 2 weeks. That's easy money. Like, I'm going to do that. No, these guys are going to hit that in the open. So don't be redundant. Like, let's find something different. So, and that's the part where I got to really know the relievers and talk to those guys, because I'm like, all right, well, they're going to be in late innings kind of in my mind. That gives me something to talk about, where I can kind of, bring things back up in the game and maybe bring an interesting point that our guys can play off of. But that was the most difficult part, just like trying to find the content. It's all there. And that's the beauty of baseball, because there's so many stories, so many different things that you can go, but just figuring out an angle and a direction and going that way kind of was the biggest hurdle for me in that first year.
So if baseball was your third sport, whose brain do you most enjoy or find the most informative or interesting? Like, whose brain do you like to pick the most when it comes to baseball?
Like, in the industry, or like our guys?
Anybody. Yeah. Like, anyone that you want to go to, if like you want to talk, like you need perspective, or you're like,
Yeah. So, I mean, so early on, like when Jerry was still living, great resource. Always loved talking to Jerry, because he just dropped nuggets on your knowledge and just break things down where I understand it so easy. Eck is another one where it's like, we'll have casual conversations about stuff, and what tripped me out so much, because I knew Eck because, 88, obviously Dodgers situation. Like, I was still a kid, but it was something that I have vivid memories of Dodgers winning the World Series that year. And, the term walkoff was coined and all that stuff. And just the type of character that Eck was in baseball. But like having conversations with him during the year this is at the point where I'm just like filling in and stuff. And like, we're talking about the game, we're talking about players on our side and talking about just general stuff. And he'd ask me like my opinion. Oh, what do you think? And like, that tripped me out completely, because I'm like, dude, you're a Hall of Famer, Red Sox Hall of Famer. Like, you had these careers, X amount of saves, like you've been in this, and like, you care about my opinion. That just like validated, I felt like, the work that I was doing and, that I was putting in. It made me feel like, okay, I'm actually in the right direction, because he cares about what I have to say about the game. So I always value his opinion when he was here. Now, like, I enjoy talking to I enjoy talking to Dusty Baker. I enjoy talking to him when he always come into town. Ron Washington was great. Love Ron. And used to, when I was in Texas, actually, and the Rangers were, coming up short in World Series, I was covering that team because I had been in the market there. But like, I've been watching him forever, it seems like. So his knowledge of the game, his personality is kind of crazy. And we just have little limited interactions and conversations when they're in town or we go over there. But he's great. I really like talking to Lou. I like talking to Lou about the game now, and that's just been the last couple of years more recently. Really all our guys. I mean, Uke, Middlebrooks, all these guys have been great. But like conversations afterwards, like after the game, we're on a bus, like having conversations about the game and what went on and the trends. It's always kind of something I look forward to with these guys. But yeah, that's probably some of the voices that I enjoy listening and hearing from.
Yeah, those are all. I mean, I feel like Lou is he's the best. Like he
is.
He's like the grandpa Red Sox Twitter at this point. Like if you want to hear someone be wise and give you something that's rational, like, all right, speak to us, grandpa, put us in our place. That's what it is.
Yeah, for sure. And I hope he has many more years to come, on the Nesson broadcast. I hope that he's one of the guys that sticks around for a long time.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite walk-off interview moment?
Oh, favorite?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess recency bias, man, but not really that recent. But it was 21 when Franchi Cordero hit the walk-off grand slam, and I just got completely obliterated with the Gatorade shower that he basically pushed me into. And we were going on the road, and I had to hop on a plane like that, absolutely wet because my bag had been packed away. Thank goodness Red Sox PR hooked me up with some swag. I was able to throw on a little shirt or whatever, but that's probably one of my favorites because like I was so locked in. And it's funny because TC all the time, the guys on the post-game show always talk about situational awareness and I got to have my head on the swivel. But the moment was so big at that time. And it's like, dude, you just hit a walk-off grand slam. Like that's the stuff that you dream about. Obviously, if it was the playoffs, it'd be even sicker. But like to do that in a game and to win, it all happened so fast because at that moment, like I'm sitting in the dugout well and I'm like, was it over? Like, did it go over? Because it was on the right field side. So I'm sitting at that side and then you realize it is. Then I hop out and then everybody's going crazy and I'm trying to gather him. The producer's in my ear. Everybody's talking to me like, you got to get him. So he comes out and obviously needed a translator. So I'm just like, all right, I got him. And I'm talking to him and like one question in, I'm just like locked into the situation and then splash, you get kind of pelted with the whole bucket of water. It felt like. And it was just one of those moments where it was like, man, that was pretty incredible. And that's the kind of stuff that you really live for, like the games like that, the seasons that have playoff implications, the ones that go deep into the postseason. So I'm still, even though I was around in 18, like I wasn't the full-time guy, right? So I didn't cover any of those World Series games on the road. So like having an experience like that, selfishly, like I still want to experience with this organization, hopefully that it happens, So that's kind of, one of those things I put on my preseason list of hopes and aspirations, trying to manifest that for this Red Sox club. But that Franchi one was pretty memorable. And, there's a couple from early on too. Like there's one in 18 where I remember JBJ. It's actually, I got a picture on my refrigerator. Somebody printed it out for me and I still have it. It's a magnet. It's JBJ getting like 3 buckets of Gatorade and me just like right in there and like my suit getting absolutely ruined. But it's one of those iconic moments for me in my career. So that's probably the 2 that I could think of.
So, I mean, we're both.
But I mean, honorable mention. Sorry, I know we just lost Alex Verdugo to the Big Bad Empire, but his quotable is probably another all-timer for me. Exactly.
Yeah, that one was good. I remember I texted you after that.
Yeah, you certainly did. You and probably 100 other people. Yeah. I don't think I had more texts before in my life after a game.
Yeah.
But that was pretty good.
He said it twice, didn't he? Did he drop
did. He did. The second time I was like, Alex, we're live. He's like, oh, my bad.
He's like, oh, shit, my bad. Fuck.
Yeah, exactly. But the emotion of it, it's kind of one of those storylines that carried over throughout the season was pretty good. My dog's going crazy now back over here.
That's
Shut him up. It's
That's
like
all right.
the little dogs.
We started the podcast with my dog barking the first
Yeah,
time.
I was about to
So
yell
don't
at
feel
Tyler.
bad.
I was like, "Is this your dog again?" Obviously, as grown adult men, it is probably more and more difficult for us to feel starstruck at this point. Like, there's no one in the league right now that I'd be starstruck if I met them.
Right.
But you've got your baseball players from when you were a kid that you might be starstruck by. And then also just there's got to be like like I think I'd be very starstruck if I met The Rock finally. Like I feel like we're gonna cross paths at some point. Like he's a Kowloon guy, I'm a Kowloon guy.
Yeah.
Give me one baseball player that you would be starstruck to meet today, and one person outside of baseball. Could be a musician, entertainer, actor, anybody. Who's one person inside and outside of baseball that you would be starstruck to meet?
Oh. Well, you're pretty good at this. You got some great questions. Oh man. Inside of okay. So I mean, I think this
They
is
could be
easy.
retired. Anybody? Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me that'd be Barry Bonds.
Yeah, Sam.
Um.
He follows me on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Ooh, you got to make that happen and slide
I
the
know.
DMs, man. It was
I'm too nervous.
So it's like, who follows me on Instagram that came recently, or not Instagram, but Twitter. It was Tracy McGrady, dude. Tracy McGrady followed me on Instagram. Former baseball player. He's a pitcher too. And like, big fan of his. And it tripped me out when he followed me. I was like, is this a mistake? Like, is this a bot or something crazy? But it's legitimately him. He followed me on Instagram and I wanted to slide into the DMs like, hey man, like big fan of your work, all that stuff. But I'm too nervous to do it. I've never done it, but it'd be Barry Bonds for sure, because I mean, Barry brought everybody back to the game. I mean, whatever you say, steroid era, whatever the case may be, I think he was a Hall of Famer before any of the suspicion came in with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Had an illustrious career. Obviously, to me, he's the home run king. Should be in the Hall of Fame. But to meet Barry would be kind of a trip, because, I mean, I was locked into those Giants teams, his home run. I mean, 2002 was like the year that is one of those that felt like I came back to the game. Mm-hmm. So I think meeting Barry would be kind of crazy. It'd be kind of crazy inside the game. As far as outside, like entertainer, somebody crazy like that.
Anybody.
Or actor. Oh, it'd probably be Denzel Washington.
Denzel Washington.
Big fan of his, man. Big fan of his.
Okay.
Love his movies. And
favorite Denzel
he's my favorite
movie?
actor. He's my favorite actor. Training Day.
Okay.
Easy. I mean, there's so many classics that Denzel's in, but Training Day is there. As far as like, just what a performance. I mean, just amazing. But I like them all. I like, literally, he's one of the actors where I don't care what it is. If he's in it, I'm watching it.
Yeah. West Coast trip. If say you're flying Boston to LA, Sox Dodgers are in LA, you just wrapped up against the Orioles at Fenway. What are we loading onto the iPad? Like how are we accounting for 6 hours of flight time?
You know what? It's funny because like, I feel like I'm not locked into the music scene like as I once was. Like, I know the mainstream people, the Drakes, whatever, Gunna, somebody like that who's going to come on, J. Cole. But like what everybody's listening to, I feel like I'm not locked in. But what keeps me still having a pulse on what's popular is being in the baseball clubhouse. So like whatever these guys are blasting after games, like I got my Shazam going on. I'm like, dang, what song is that? That joint's kind of hot. Like, I need that. So I got like 30 songs that I came in discovery from just walking into the clubhouse after wins that I got from these guys.
So you'll find this funny. This song is on my gym playlist, and it's because it was one of the it might have been somebody's walk up, or it was like a BP song. I think it was a BP song. But do you know this song?
Oh. Yeah. Oh. That's right.
You didn't hear this one, Jahmai?
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a BP one. That's a BP one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that joint goes.
Yeah. Yeah, they would play this. They would play this
That's right.
during beefy.
I
Every
Shazam
time.
that one. It's called Wolves. I forget who sings it though. Right?
Big Sean and Post Malone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
these guys keep me young, I guess.
Right.
And,
like I never listened to Bad Bunny until
me either.
PK and like all these other and then 21, like 1/3 of the lineup had Bad Bunny as their walk-up song.
Exactly. Walk-up song, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's basically it. Like baseball walk-up songs are in my rotation.
Yeah.
From basically I go to other teams and I'm like, hey, that's kind of hot. Like I remember it must have been like even like Connor Wong has some legit walk-ups. He had Travis Scott hot song, and I was like, dude, that's dope. And I was like, yeah, we always do Travis, him and Trevor Story. They had Travis Scott walk-up songs, but like whatever they have in rotation, I'm like, that's it. So I got like a Shazam playlist on my Apple Music, and that's what I'm rolling with, just in shuffle mode. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's hot songs. Sometimes it's random R&B songs, whatever I find. But it's mostly baseball walk-ups or whatever's in the clubhouse after wins.
So you're just doing music on a flight. You're not doing movies. You're not doing books. You're just music.
No.
6 hours of music.
Yeah. And then like I might pass out for like 90 minutes, but I'm just chatting.
You're just gonna look at the back of your chair for 6 hours.
I mean, like 6 hours. All right, so let me go back to the scenario.
Cross country flight here.
Cross country flight. So for some reason, these flights seem always faster. I don't know if it's because of the type of plane we're in. So they take like 5.5 hours usually. Depending if we catch a nice, we don't catch a headwind.
Yeah,
we get there faster. But like an hour and a half is probably sleeping, maybe 2. And then you eat. So like I'm chatting with whoever's sitting next to me. Sometimes it's our play-by-play guy, whoever's on that trip, or it's like the producer, or not the producer, but the director or the photographer. So I'm chatting with them, and then like our flight crew, like the ladies who are on our flight, they're all great personalities. So chatting with them, catching up, and then sometimes the guys come back and they'll chat with you. So you have conversations, and that takes up time. So then it's usually like maybe like the last hour and a half or something where. All right, it's like, all right, everybody's come over here and you've had your conversation. So it's like, all right, I'm gonna just vibe out to some music, and that's when I put it on. So it's not like the whole flight because like it's too hard to do that. You'd almost be like antisocial if you did that because there's just so much happening on those flights.
Yeah.
We sit on the back too.
That's true. I've heard stories about the back of the plane and
so it's shuttling. It's like everybody shuttles back there once or twice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Who's your ideal flight buddy? Like if you could sit next to one person on a flight like that and you would actually enjoy the experience, who you picking?
Will Fleming.
Will Fleming's the balls. I fucking love Will Fleming.
Yeah, he's the best. He's the best. He chats about everything, and he's got great stories. He's a great storyteller too. So chatting with him, and we always hang out on the road too. So we got stories from nights out and just craziness happening, and it's just it'd be him for sure.
I love that. Tyler?
So, Jahmai, we almost lost you this year. When Rafi hit that ball and you took that shot, I think everyone was like, damn, it's a wrap. Like, I know you had to get checked out and everything. Can you walk us through that story a little bit?
Oh, man, I thought we were going to get through this entire podcast without having to mention that, but that was probably one of my season highlights. That and the kid throwing the baseball back on the field on Father's Day. But that, man, it's funny because my counterpart, Andre Knott, is with the Cleveland Guardians. He's their sideline reporter. And he was like, hey, man, I don't sit on that side because Jose Ramirez, he sends rockets into that camera well. So just be on alert because it's dangerous over there. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever. He's like, I'm telling you, man, it's the lefties, like, who turn on it, who swinging like that. So maybe if Devers gives up, like, watch out. And I'm like, okay, for sure. Sure enough, man, that game, like, and, so, like, I'm sitting right next to the dugout, and I'm actually closer to the guys in Cleveland than I am in a lot of places because it's like the camera well and the dugout entrance where guys come up from the clubhouse. They walk through the stairway right there. So most people pass by me. On this particular dugout, AC's at the very opposite end, and the coaching staff is on that end, same as Fenway setup, basically. They're at the far end I'm on this side where the guys are hanging out and there's cameras. So Rafi comes up and he had sent a couple that direction earlier. So or like earlier in the series or whatever games before or years past. So I'm always on alert when he's up anyways, because you just never know where the ball's going to go. And I'm doing stuff too. Like I'm taking score. I'm writing down notes, things I want to ask, or I see different trends happen in the game. And I'm trying to stay in tune with what's going on with that. People are talking to me. So I'm in conversation, but I'm always like trying to stay alert to the game. And I'm looking out to the field because I'm on the first base side. He's up. And it felt like a flash, man. It was like whack. And the ball was on me. I couldn't. And it's a tight situation there in Cleveland where, you know, I'm 6'2", so I'm a little taller and it's very tight. So like my knees are touching the dugout steps and there's not much space to move laterally or stand up and get out of the way. So boom, hits the ball and I see it. And it takes one bounce, and I'm like, this is coming straight for me. My eyes get like hella big. And all I can do is just like turn my body and just like protect. And I just like curled up like a turtle. And I just like embrace for impact. And then boom, like a body shot from Tyson, bro. Got me on the left side. And I was like, oh, like it immediately knocked the wind out of me. So then OB goes 109.3 off the bat. Wow. He's like, I think that hit Jahmai or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, dude, it definitely did. Then the producer's talking to me in my ear. He's like, we got the camera on you. Let us know you're okay. So I give him a thumb. I think I gave him a thumbs up because I could not speak.
No,
and
it looked like you were at your limit.
Yes.
Like.
And then like my adrenaline's rushing too because this really, it hurt. It hurt like hell. So then I'm like, thumbs up. Oh, I'm good. I'm good. He's like, no, we got to hit a verbal. We got to hear a verbal. It's our director, Ben Johnson. He's like, we got to hear a verbal. I'm like, dude, I'm good. I'm good. I'm solid.
I'm chilling.
So then they run the replay back and the replay monitors got the video and you see the ball and you see the track and it just like got me in the ribs solid. And it was solid, like a boom body shot. Like it hurt so bad. And at that point, like again, my adrenaline's rushing. Like I'm in the moment, still live TV. I just been smoked by a baseball by Devers. So I'm like, you know, playing along, but then that started to wear off and I'm like, oh man, like I couldn't even move. And I'm like, oh, that kind of hurts a little bit bad. And so then they run it back with her. I'm like, yeah, I'm good, guys, whatever. Try to play it off. And then like it started to really kind of sizzle a little bit. It started to sting a little bit. And I'm like, man, that really got me. So then I'm touching my side right here and there's like, it's like welt, you know, it's like a big welt and like imprint of the baseball almost. So then everybody obviously saw it on TV. So then our executive producer back in Nesson sends me a text like, you're okay? I'm like, yeah, I think I'm all right. He's like, you should get checked out. And I'm like, yeah, I will at some point later. He's like, no, I want to get checked out right now. I'm like, what am I supposed to go to the hospital? Like a Cleveland medical? Like, what am I supposed to do? He's like, I just put in a call to the clubhouse, which I didn't even think he had that ability, by the way. He's like, the training staff is going to come check you out. So do that right now. I'm like, all right, cool. So I go back. One of the trainers, Anthony Sarandolo, Dolo, you see him everywhere. He's a big yoked Italian guy. Yeah. You see him. Dude's mad cool, whatever. So he comes up and he's like, hey, I just got a call from Nesson. Like, you good? He didn't see it because he's back there like working on the guys. Somebody's getting treatment on the training table. He's like, come on back. So I go back there, take off. I had a suit and tie this day too. So he's like, just derobe, whatever. So I'm naked back, half naked in the clubhouse on the training table. And he's like, lift your arm up. He's running all these tests on me. He's like, yeah, you got a contusion right here, man. It's just a deep bruise, basically. He's like, it's going to hurt like hell tomorrow or later tonight. Like, it's going to be worse. So he's like, let me put this little compression patch on there. Like, patched me up immediately, felt relief. It was solid. He's like, I'm going to give you this to go home. I said, we'll check it out tomorrow in New York because it was a getaway day. So we're going to New York the next day. So as the game wore on, like, they're still playing it up. And I'm like legitimately hurting. And these guys are having fun. And I think it was Will who was in the booth. He was like, oh, just put some water on it, dust it off. Like, no, dude. This thing hurt like hell.
Fighting for my life over here.
Dude, exactly. So then after the game, it was like I couldn't breathe barely. And I was like, dang, I think I might have broken a rib. So then everybody's checking up on me. They're like, we want you to get checked out tomorrow in New York or whatever. So they had set it up where I was going to see the Yankees doctors, got over there. They did x-rays on me, dude, like legitimately. During the game, like I got up second inning. I did one hit. They're like, all right, go get checked out. Second inning. I was in there for like 3 innings. And this is the time after they had come back from LA like a couple weeks before. So Aaron Judge had the toe situation. So the doctor he was like, all right, somebody's in our x-ray room, just one of our guys or whatever. Just wait right here in the hallway. And I'm like, who could this be, you know? So he's like, it's just one of our guys. He tried to downplay it. So then Aaron comes out of the thing and he's like, you know, the windowsill's right, the doorway. So he's like, I'm looking up and I'm like, dude, what's up, Aaron? He's like, oh, what's up, man? What's going on? I heard you got smoked. I'm like, oh, dude, news travels fast. Gosh. So I was like, yeah, Devers got me in Cleveland. He's like, yeah, you got to watch out, man. So as he's limping back to the thing, whatever. So quick chat with him and then he goes off. Then I go in there, get x-rayed. And I think they were trying to like feel me out. Like, is this guy cool? Whatever. Like, he's from the other side. Like, is he good?
Yeah.
But like, they saw me talk to him and like have a conversation like a normal person. And they're like, all right. They kind of relaxed after that because the whole staff it felt like they were on high alert that I was in the clubhouse, in the Yankees clubhouse during the game or whatever. So then I got on x-ray table, check me out. They're like, x-ray is negative, but, you know, it could be some hairline fractures. We just can't see that on our thing. But, you know, even if you did break it, like there's nothing we can do as long as it's not puncturing your lung or into your heart or something. You don't got any bone chip. Like that's basically what you can do. So it probably hurt for like another 2.5 weeks after that. And guys were trying to play it up and, you know, they were messing with me the whole time on the telecast. And then Devers even, I told him afterwards, because I still have the ball, by the way. I need him to sign that thing for me. And I'm like, bro, you got to sign this for me. He's like, yeah, okay. I'm like, no, it hurt. He's like, oh, yeah, you all right, bro. Now you know how it is. I'm like, no, but I don't get paid millions to do this, bro.
And
I'm like,
not
I'm
only
just an
that,
innocent bystander.
you got hit with a batted baseball. Like no one is standing in the
Exactly.
box getting smoked by 110. Like that.
That's
that
what I
doesn't
told him.
exist.
I said, ain't nobody throwing it that fast, bro. Even if I was 20 yards away, whatever, like that thing came in there hot. So he had a good time messing with me about it, but nobody had sympathy, which is crazy on the team. None of the guys, not
The
one of them.
broadcast booth, man, the laughs they were getting. I'm sitting there, I'm like, dude, if
I'm
I
telling
took
you.
that, I might have died.
Yeah.
That
Dude,
might
I
have been
swear.
the end of me.
You showed me it that first game in the
Yeah.
homestand.
Right, yeah. I
saw
showed you. Pull my shirt up.
Yeah, you
Had a
showed
bruise,
me it.
had a whole bruise there.
Yeah,
and I'm dark. Look at me, bro. I'm dark. I am a dark black man. And that bruise showed up.
It
So
did.
I'm like, come on.
Do you have a picture of like how bad it looked at the worst?
I think I do.
Did you
deep
tweet
down in
it?
the archives.
Yeah, you got to find a picture because I saw it. I mean, that must have been at that point. I wouldn't say a week later, but close to a week.
Might have been, because I think that was like a 3-city trip, and I think New York might have been just our second stop. It could have been our way home, actually, but yeah, it might have been at least a week when you saw it. But
Yeah.
like a couple of days later, it was the worst. Or I was still icing it and like taking care of it.
Right, like when it was one of those bruises that when you look at it for the first time, you're not expecting it, and then when you see it, you can like feel pain.
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
feel pain by looking at it. Yeah,
And then just like sleeping, it was uncomfortable. You know, I roll over and it'd be like, and then Will, both Wills, Lou, they see me poking at me. It's like, dude, like this hurts, bro. Like, stop. It hurts. So it was one of those things where they thought I was being soft, but I was like, no, man, like legit. Like I got a pretty solid pain threshold. Like I've broken bones. I've done that. Like this hurt like hell. And it
you're
hurt
a
for
survivor.
a week solid.
The other thing, Jahmai, I wanted to ask, and this is something I've noticed. I think over the years, it happens with a lot of sideline reporters. Your fashion game, suit game, it's strong.
Mhm.
What is the inspiration behind it, and what were, kind of your come up on that side so that, people started noticing what was up?
I mean, it started way back when with Deion Sanders saying, you look good, you play good, you feel good. So that's like the foundation of it all. But then like setting the bar was like Craig Sager dressing up with all kind of loud suits in the NBA side. And just like a man in a suit. Like I love how like women always gave me positive responses when they see you dressed up in a suit, whatever. So that was like one of those things where you always want to be buttoned up to the nines. And like, I like suits. And the fact that, I'm getting hooked up with some of these and I could kind of create whatever I see. Like I got fabric at the time, I think too early on, we had a deal with Joseph Abboud. So I would literally go to the factory down there in New Bedford. So I would like pick out literally the cloth and be like, this is what I want. Let me make this into a suit. So it started from that. And I got a little bit more crazy, as the years have gone on. And I was like, this will look dope. And I think this is something that'll go good together. So it's one of those things where I like to dress nice and being in that role, like it's great to kind of break the ice with a lot of guys too, because they recognize it. Pablo Reyes was always like a fashion critique on me. He'd be in the guy be like, "Oh, okay, you
Yeah, I
got
was
with
about
it.
to say.
You got that fire, puppy." And I'm like, "Yeah, bro, you already know. Yeah, tu sabe."
What do you think the number's at? How many suits you got?
Oh man, I could wear a different one for like I can go a whole month and wear you wouldn't see the same suit twice.
Wow.
So at least
Baller.
30.
It's a flex.
Yeah, at least 30 just off the top. But and then you think about there's like this one meme going around where Steve Harvey is like, you gotta get a blue suit, you gotta get a black suit, you got a brown suit. Those suits turned into this suit. So if I did that combination, I mean it'd be crazy, bro. It's probably go up to 100 or something, but it's ridiculous. Like my wife is killing me because I'm taking up all the space in the closet with all my suits.
The last thing, you mentioned it slightly earlier, the whole experience with the ball getting thrown back on the field on Father's Day and all that playing out. Is that your wildest moment with a fan? Because you're in it. Like, I respect it. You're working the crowd. You're talking to people. Yeah. You're going to interview certain players' family or whatever. Was that your wildest experience at Fenway or just dealing with fans in general?
Last season, yeah, for sure. 100%. That was one of those things where, like, after it happened, like, I did not understand the magnitude of it. Shout out to our boy Gary Streisky, too, because it even ended up on SportsCenter that morning. He was like, Jahmai. And then my man Michael Eaves, who works for SportsCenter, too, he shouted me out with the ball. So, like, it got that national play, and the MLB Network picked it up, even to the point where I think we were in Minnesota, like, later that year, maybe a couple weeks later. And like they run all these bloopers and things about that happened in ballparks, and they ran this video, and I'm sitting right there like, this is crazy. So it was like this whole big thing. And then I got texts from people afterwards like, oh, that was super dope. That was a crazy moment. That was amazing. So that was probably one of the highlights for me because it ended up being a great story. And like it got so much play, even in local news, like people were hitting me up to try and track down the family. I was like, I don't know. I just kind of went up there and talked to them like in the moment. Like I didn't say, hey, let's stay in touch. Let me get your email. So one station here locally, they're like, can you get in contact with the family? I'm like, no, I know nothing about them. So like, good luck with that. But they actually were able to track them down and they got in touch with them. And then D-Mac wanted to get in touch with them later. He invited them to a Red Sox game and it became this great big story. And lost in all that, by the way, the guy who gave the kid the ball was a neighbor. And I forget his name, but I'm going to make good on this because it's been one of those things that I have like through the season it just got lost in translation. But his brother actually wrote me a handwritten note and was like, hey, my brother wouldn't do this, but like he was the guy who gave the kid the ball. Like he got nothing from it. I just feel like, you know, he's a good dude, yada, yada, yada. Like if you could do anything for him, that'd be great. So I'm going to do something for him. I'm gonna give him a bat. And what I was going to do is try to get everybody to sign it who's like on our broadcast and who's part of our baseball group, like, you know, Jim and all those guys. And I'm gonna mail it to the guy. So it's on my list of things to do, but I gotta wait till I see these guys. But that was probably one of the highlights. And then, you know, Kenley obviously coming through and making it happen. Like we were gonna do something on our own, but he was in the clubhouse watching and, you know, he talking to him after. He was like, yeah, you know, as a dad, I just felt bad. Like it was the dad handled it great. Like as a father of 3 kids now, I'm like, I don't know if I would have handled it that great. Like, dude was on regional television, like, young cat was spazzing, man. I would have been like, man, you better get yourself together. And he was just like super calm, super chill, like new age parenting, like it's okay. And the way he handled it was like exceptional. So I'm not sure I would have been the same way, but that was also kind of part of the feel good story. And it, like I said, it got picked up nationally. Like I think CBS News ran like a thing on it later. Like it hit one of their shows as well. So it was pretty big.
I work in sports radio and we did legit 45 minutes. And trust me, it's not the easiest thing for us to get into, you know, long talk of baseball and all these things. But people were calling in. They were like, did you guys see that? Like, do you know the family? Can we make a connection? So it made its impact on the people.
Yeah. That was one of the highlights. That was highlights of last season for sure.
And before we return you to your family, we bring in the closer with the last question. That is Jake, who hasn't said a word since you've been on. But he will close us out for us.
He's been enthralled in the conversation, just fly on the wall. Jake?
It's been a great convo. Jahmai, I really loved your Clark's Ketchup Series MVP picks this year. Just wanted to know what your experience was like first year on the panel.
First year on the panel, I'd like to say I came in as a wide-eyed, bushy-tailed rookie with the Clark's Ketchup, really, really trying to find my footing. And I always try to, kind of the same approach that I was telling you guys earlier about my reporting and like the style where I try to find the things that are below the surface. I saw always trying the unsung hero, like the guy who maybe moved the guy over. And that was my MVP for a series. And then I kind of started to go more chalk, I guess, as the season had gone on. But it was great. And there's a lot of text reminders from Jared, like, hey, who you got? And I'm like, oh, shit, I forgot. I got to get my pick in. There's a few times where I beat him to it. But hopefully I get better next year. And I'm able to do a lot more of those series wins because, man, we need it. We need it after the 2 years we've had to endure under this Red Sox tenure. So hopefully a lot more series wins, a lot more MVPs of series to pick. And but it was great. A lot of my picks were Tristan Casas when he was healthy. Justin Turner made it quite a bit. I think even one time, maybe once or maybe even twice, I picked the bullpen for a series victory. But I'm optimistic. Like I said, I'm always trying to see things as a glass half full. So I'm hoping a lot more MVPs, a lot more good moments coming into 2024. This Red Sox team. So still a lot of offseason left to make some more splashes.
I love that. I love that outlook because that's before you came on, that's kind of what I was trying to say was like you can be frustrated right now, but like a lot of those names. If you came into this offseason looking to have a big winter, a lot of those names are still out there. And you may say, well, like, how do you feel about their chances of signing those players? You may say, all right, I don't feel great about it. Okay, but they're still out there. It could still happen. They're still out there.
Still a chance. 2 months till pitchers and catchers report.
Yep, exactly. So they certainly got the capital to sign at least one of them for, the big $200 million deal. So I like to see it happen.
Same. All right, Jahmai Webster, are you going to be at Winter Weekend?
Oh yeah, man. I wouldn't be anywhere else.
That's where I got your autograph last year.
That's true. After all those years, man. Come on, you got to return the favor for me now.
I know. I have a signed Jahmai Webster headshot that I got at Red Sox Winter Weekend last year. It's in my kitchen downstairs.
Wow.
Still have it. Yep. It's got a premier spot. I said earlier, I'm not sure if I'm going to go.
Really?
I'm not sure. If I'm not part of it and they don't make a big move, I don't think I can subject myself to all the questioning of like, why aren't they doing anything?
I mean, to your credit, exceptional job last year.
Thank you.
You were the voice of the fan base. I know some people came at you like you did softballs, but I mean, you're put in a very tough spot and you delivered. I will say that, man.
It's not easy to sit there across from John Henry and be like, hey, do you still care about the team?
Exactly.
Like, I don't know how many people are doing that, but it was definitely a cool experience. I just don't know that, like, if I'm not a part of it, I don't know that I want to just walk around a bunch of angry Red Sox fans.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they give you reason to come, even if you're not a part of it. I think this is just me. I haven't heard anything. I'm pretty sure you might be another intricate piece to our winter weekend puzzle as the planning comes out. So just be on high alert.
Okay.
Keep refreshing that email.
I'll be right by my phone. I'll be waiting to hear. So,
and then you're going to return the favor this year. I'm going to have something hopefully from you autographed to add to my collection, my small collection over here, and it's got to say former MLB pitcher Jared Carrabba. So please,
I have. You know what? I have Topps baseball cards. They gave me an Allen and Ginter card in 2020, and then they gave me like a box of them.
I need it.
Yeah, I'll sign it. Former MLB pitcher Jared Carrabba to Jahmai Webster and put it right there. You can have it.
Let's go.
Right on yourself.
Let's go, man.
Done deal.
I'm hyped. I'm ready.
Right. Sounds like I'll see you in a month, maybe.
Yeah, won't be soon enough, my friend. I'll tell you that right now.
I love that.
Maybe I'll get up to Saugus though. I mean,
come on by.
I want to go up to Kowloon, but it's gotten a little, people a little rough around there these days, huh?
They are, but like if you're with me, it's a different dining experience.
Okay, yeah. I think that's what I want my first experience there to be then.
Yeah.
I want to go up there with you.
red
Maybe we do a
carpet
lunch before the
treatment.
riffraff gets in there at night.
Right. And then also, people don't know about this, or maybe they do. The Rock has his own table at Kowloon because his wife is from Linfield, which is a town over from Saugus. So he comes back here and he'll slide in the back door like pretty often, but like it's not like announced. He'll just like go in there.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you got not there. You know who sits at that table? Me and Jahmai Webster.
Okay.
That's who sits at that table.
I need it. Maybe they'll let us in with the Rock. You know, you got some insight. The owner might slide you a text like, "Hey, Dwayne's here tonight."
Yeah.
And then you send me a text. We pull up.
Either that, or he like the Rock probably is just gonna DM me on Instagram and be like, "Hey, like seen you in some tight shirts, looking for some workout tips. Maybe we can get some Kowloon, hit the gym." And I would love to do that. I mean, you work out too, Jahmai.
I do, man. Although I've fallen off, man, this offseason. But by the time you see me in a month, hopefully I'm back to, my fighting weight.
Done. Done deal.
Yeah.
Jahmai Webster, Nesson, you know him, you love him. Follow him on Twitter, follow him on Instagram. And you know what? When we post this episode, we're gonna need a picture of that bruise.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to find it in the archives.
Yeah.
Make a mental note here.
Done. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, fellas. It's been a blast.
Buenas noches, amigos.